Survivor specialist Phil and Alexa are back for our 6th Edge of Extinction tell-all. This is the one that I'm definitely the most terrified for. But we are having this with the undisputed Queen of Comma, Julie Rosenberg.
Oh, that's nice.
Wow, undisputed.
I mean, love that. I don't know.
Who can argue that?
I love it. Thank you, Phil.
Sitting in final 3. I don't think any of the other commas were sitting, or Gavin, but
Gavin.
So I'm like undisputed Queen of Comma. But Julie Rosenberg is here. I'm sure she has something up her sleeve, and I am prepared. Oh, good. She was reaching for the water glass, and I'm already like,
now we're doing
what am I reaching for, Phil?
I feel like I'm about to get like somebody's like snapping.
No. Phil, stop. Don't worry. I'm not going to bring anything out yet. It's we got to build up the anxiety for you.
Exactly. We're only 2 minutes in.
Yeah. It's gonna take a little while.
Well, that's good. When I'm least expecting, when you're telling a really like heartfelt story, and it's like, let me reenact it.
I don't have any toys on me right now, Phil. I don't know why you're so scared.
I'm eyeballing something in the background.
Oh no, I see it in the background. I see it, but I can't. They're not close enough. I don't make out the face.
There's a lot more than what's in the background.
Oh no. But so Julie, your daughter made probably the best promotional video that we've had the entire time. Don't tell War Dog I said.
Yeah, it was a good change of pace to not have a gym selfie as a promotional video.
Well, I actually did post the gym selfie of
you
War
did
Dog as well today, but yesterday, yes, Zoe had this great idea for a video to promote the podcast, and she ran with her idea, and it was really cool. If anybody wants to see it, it's on my Twitter and Facebook.
Yes, it's really fantastic. Good. It's so much fun. It's very Blair Witch Project, and I felt her fear. I was like, I get it.
I did too. I'm with you. It was pretty scary.
But you're out of everybody we've interviewed, Julie, you are the highest finisher that we've had. So you're going to be the first person who can actually take us through to final 3 because nobody else has been able to do that.
Everyone else has voted out before then.
Yes.
Exactly. So, because I do have one huge question about final 3.
Yeah.
But we're going to wait.
You want to start with the final 3?
No.
We're going to go backwards.
We're going chronological.
We could do that. We could go day 39 all the way back to casting.
That would be pretty funny.
Like I could do the reverse of what War Dog did. It's up to you. It's up to you.
Oh gosh, I just choked on my water at the idea of going to bed at 2 a.m.
I'm not gonna. Yeah, I don't know if I could do that. I don't.
Yeah. I know, Julie, we're both on the East Coast. This is our first, no, I forget which time zone Eric was in, but
it's California.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But well, I mean, that's up to you. Do you want to start with final 3, Julie, or do you want to start with everybody wants to hear
Let's earn it. Let's get there.
I don't want to start with final 3.
I didn't think so.
What do you want to start with? I want to start with what you guys want to start with.
I want to start with the fact that you were supposed to be on Africa or that you applied for Africa.
Yes. Well, very interesting story. Okay. So that was back in 2001. I mean, I think Survivor started in 2000. I saw season 1, and the minute I saw it, I was like, I have to do that. Like, I am meant to do this show. And I was back in my 20s then. I was single, young, like totally different person than I am now. And I applied, and that was the year when I applied. It was for season 3. That was like, I think season 2 had already been filmed by the time season 1 was airing or something like that. Everybody now is applying for season 3. That was the year I think they got 100,000 applicants for sure, at least 100,000 videotapes. And they were narrowing it down to 1,000 to interview around the country, a little like a different process than what they do now. And I sent the videotape. This is back when it's literally tapes, right? And I set a tripod up in my apartment. I just talked to the camera and I mailed it in, and everybody who knew I did this was like, you're never going to do, like, they're not going to call you. It's 100,000 people are applying. And I'm like, nope, I am getting on that show. I got called. I made the 1,000-person cut. So I had an interview scheduled at a hotel in New York City where they had people come in at different times. I even specifically remember coming out of the hotel room as it was my turn to go in was Ethan, the guy who won Survivor Africa.
Oh my gosh.
I remember his hair. He had a Vassar t-shirt. Didn't think anything at the time. I go in, had an amazing interview. They film it. There's like 2 casting people there. I thought it was Lynn Spillman, but looking back, she doesn't remember it so much that she went to New York for that. So I don't know if it was really her or not. But I thought I killed the interview, right? I had the camera guys crying based on a story I was telling because there's a lot of like some certain tragedies going on in my family at the time. And I was like, I left the interview and they were like, okay, get your medical form signed. Like, you're definitely going to make it to step 2. From these 1,000 people we're interviewing, 50 of them are going to LA for final casting. And then we'll pick 16, I think it was 16 at the time, but 18, 16 of those. So I thought for sure I'm going. So that whole next week, I am buying like my bathing suit. I'm picking out all this stuff.
You're ready.
I'm ready. People were in shock, like thinking, I can't believe you made it to the 1,000 and now you feel this good about. And a week later, I get a call, and this definitely was from Lynn, who was the casting director at the time, all the past 20 years. She calls me and she was like, Julie, I'm really sorry, but you didn't make it to the 50. And I was thinking, what? Like, I was so sure. And she said, I'm sorry, the producers decided not to go with you. And that was that. So we hang up. I was seriously depressed. I had spent months preparing myself for this, thinking about this. So I think what did I just do at the time? Maybe I was teaching. I had the summer off. It was in June, the very beginning of June. And I thought, I'm going away. Like, I'm depressed. I'm getting out of New York City. I went off to Spain by myself. It just this weird thing. I just was like, I'm going to go do something different, get out of here. I traveled. I went to Spain for a week. This is before international cell phones. My cell phone looked like a brick at the time. I didn't even have it turned on when I was there. It was that big. And I come back after a week. Okay. I had a great time in Spain by myself. I land at JFK. I'm at the baggage terminal and I see there's 50 messages on my cell phone. And I start listening to the voicemail, and it was Lynn. And she was like, Julie, where are you? We didn't like enough of the first 50 people. We need you to come to LA immediately. We're flying, like the season's starting in 2 weeks. And I was like, oh my God. I call her back from baggage. Like, I'm waiting for my bag. And she was like, it's too late. I'm sorry. We found somebody else. And I just, literally, like, my entire dream that whole year just slipped, like crumbled out of my hands. And I was like, I can't believe this. And then she said, we want you to apply. And what's interesting is there was a Kelly Goldsmith on that season. And at the time, my maiden name was Goldsmith. And when I saw that there was a Goldsmith, I was like, that's my spot. Even though it's.
I was about to ask, who do you think you would have been? Who do you think replaced you?
I don't know. Because it's hard for me. I mean, I haven't seen that season since it aired. It's one that I haven't rewatched. Mm-hmm. And I was in my 20s at the time. So some girl in her 20s that was on that season.
It would either be Kelly or it'd be Kim Powers, because Kim Powers kind of had like the long brown hair, and I forget exactly where she was from, but like I would imagine that you probably looked similar to Kim Powers.
Okay. Right? So maybe I have to rewatch now because I just remember knowing the last name was my last name, and I'm like, that girl took my fucking spot. So even though that makes no sense. So anyway, then Lynn was like, but we have a new show coming out called The Amazing Race that had not aired yet. They had filmed season 1, but now they were looking to cast season 2. And she was explaining to me the show, and she's like, we really want you to apply, find a partner. We're going to be casting the end of the summer. So I thought, all right, that sounds cool. Amazing Race. I got an ex-boyfriend to apply with me. He was an ex at the time. So I thought, that's good. That's a good partnership. Mm-hmm. We film a video, mail it in. Again, this is like.
Where are these cassettes now?
Right.
Where are they? Are these in a museum?
They're gone. They're gone. I don't have them. Survivor maybe has them, like locked in some secret room.
Oh my gosh.
So we send a tape. We get called for casting semifinals where they do it in different cities. They interview us in New York. We do great. Now they have us fly to LA for finals. This is now in September. And as we are in finals, 9/11 happens. And I remember getting the call from my mom. It was probably 6 a.m., right, LA time. And I was and I'm sequestered. Nobody knows I'm in LA. And she was like, did you turn on your TV? I'm like, I just woke up. Like, what are you talking about? I turn on the TV, horrifying. And now we're sequestered in LA I can't even talk to anybody, tell anybody there, 9/11. And my ex-boyfriend was like, he had a new girlfriend at the time back in New York. And he was like, I have to get the hell home. But there's no flights to be taken. So we were stuck in LA. They didn't even know if they were going to be able to do the show anymore at that point, because of terrorism. And basically we finished the interviews, but he pretty much sabotaged. Like he had no desire to be there, which I totally get. But they were still casting because there was nothing else we could do at the time. His dad didn't want to sign confidentiality state agreements. He was like, he just screwed every interview that we had after that. And basically we didn't get on, obviously. And that was it. That was in 2001. I'm like, I'm done. That was my whole reality TV experience. Like, this is too upsetting. Like, I got so close both times. I'm over this. And like life moved on, and I got married, and I had kids, and I had different careers. And when I had kids, it wasn't even in my mind anymore that it would be possible to do Survivor. And then, but it was, everyone who knows me knows that this was my dream, that I always said, one day I'm doing this. There's no way I'm not doing this. And I'd say it was like 6 years ago. My kids were, I don't know, how old are they? 7 and 8, 6 and 7. They were like, what is this Survivor you talk about? And I turned it on, and it was Philippines was on at the time. They became so obsessed with the show.
Good season too.
Oh, it was the best season. They loved Malcolm. They would make paper dolls with popsicle sticks and hold them up of Malcolm and cheering every time that he was on the screen. And all of a sudden, like, this light bulb went off. I'm like, oh, they're old enough now. How cool would it be if they saw their mom doing this show? And that's what motivated me to say, oh, you know what, I can do this. I can leave now. And I started applying consistently. I'd probably send a video every 3 months, even though they say they only cast, it's like one season at a time into like fall, whatever. But I sent video after video after video for 6 years. I never gave up. It seemed like I was never going to get called. And then I did. So
were you getting, well, I'm about to like do what Alexa's about to do, but were you getting calls during this process or no?
Okay. So here's what happened. I didn't have, I'll be truthful here. Do we want the true version of everything I say?
I would like the honest, brutal, honest truth.
Or is this like the Eric thing where we don't know what's real and what's not?
Eric is in the chat as well, so he'll be correcting any.
Hey, Eric.
Eric and Aurora are here to fact check you. So please be honest. They will call you out.
This is okay. I will. Okay. Well, they don't even know if I'll be honest or not.
And Ron Clark has entered the building.
Okay. Hey, Ron. This is talking about this is like casting. So I was going to say I had Lynn's personal email, the casting director's personal email from 20 years ago, which I didn't. I dug and dug and dug into that internet and found through I don't even want to say how many hours it took, her personal email address. And I emailed her, and this is 6 years ago, and I sent a video of me and said, there's no way you're going to remember me from 2001, like 17 years ago or whatever it was. No. That would have been last year. 6 years, whatever. Do the math.
11 years ago. We'll call it that.
Oh, good. That's good.
A while ago.
So, so I was like, I don't know if you remember me from 2001. You almost chose me, and then you didn't. Then you wanted me amazing. I tried to give her the background. She had no fucking clue who I was. And I give her the whole story, and then here's the video. And I'm like, I'm ready. I'm doing this. This has been. And she emailed back right away, and was like, you're adorable. But we're pretty much cast for this season, and call me or email me, send this again. I'll contact you next January. This was in June, say 2014, 13, whatever it was. Call me in January or send this again. That's when we're casting for the next year. I'm like, okay. So back, say it was 2013. I was like, I'm on again. Like, what an amazing email from her. So I started working out. I started doing laser hair removal. I mean, literally, I was preparing for this.
That is the first thing I'm going to do if I ever get cast on the show.
You have to. No. You can't wait till you're cast, Alexa. You have to do it now. It takes many, many times to do the hair removal before it's effective. So basically, I thought, this is it. I'm golden. Like, I'm definitely on this show. I start talking about it again, like telling everybody I'm going to do it. January comes. I email her. Remember me? Adorable. Like, I tried to make my videos really funny. Crickets. Nothing. Ugh. And I'm like, okay. A week goes by. Send it again. And this is all her personal email address. Nothing. And I know she's getting them. She got the first one. Like, she has to be getting these.
Ghosting you.
She's ghosting me. She fucking ghosted me. I'm married and I'm not looking for anything, and she ghosted me. And I was like, what is going on? Another week goes by. Remember me? like, I'm like kind of typing angrily, nothing. I would say 4 years went by. Every 3 months, I would send her another email. I mean, with another video of me. Always a new video, another take on me, thinking, you know what? Like, I know she's the one in charge here. Like, I'm going straight to the top and I'm going to get through. And I mean, they became very funny emails. Like this was very one-sided. Like, our relationship, like, what happened? Like, and
please love me.
Yeah. I was like, this is insane. 4 years. Nothing. And I thought, okay, something happened. What happened? What did I do? What did I do to offend her? I retraced every video I sent, every email, everything I wrote. I couldn't figure it out. And then the year before I was cast, so if I got cast in 2008, spring of 2018, 2017, I get a call. Not from Lynn, but from another casting associate. Like, somebody.
Lynn's like, this girl will not leave me alone.
Yeah, she probably was like, there's a warrant out for you. Like there's a season, whatever, just whatever. No, that's the wrong term. Whatever, restraining order against you. Yeah. Okay, so basically, this casting associate calls me and she says, okay, here's the deal. We're looking for a few last minute spots. And Lynn is like, on the fence about bringing you in. And I was like, what did I do? Like, I thought things were great. And she said, well, and at the time, so here's the pure honesty part. Every video I sent, my angle was the mom, right? Like, what else am I going to play on Survivor? I'm 45, I was 45, 46, whatever it was, years old. My kids are a huge part of my life. I've had careers in my life, but I did not have a career at the time when I was applying. Everything was about me being the mom. There's no other archetype character I can play on Survivor at this point, right? And she's like, yeah, it's not really working for her. They don't think you're tough enough. They think you would quit. They don't think you have it in you. You're not ambitious enough, or you don't have enough, there's no career. And I was like, oh my God, every video I've been sending has been so narrowly focused on that role. And that's exactly what she doesn't like anymore, or doesn't want. So they asked me a million questions. She's like, I'll let you know. We're flying people out to LA. She hung up. I got called back, and the associate's like, it's not happening. It's not happening. And I'm like, okay. So that was that. That was 2017 spring. And that summer, I'm like, okay, so here's the honest part. I'm like, what can I do? I have to change my image in her mind. Like, she doesn't want the mom, like the whatever. So what can I do? Like, I have a new tactic. And I created my Etsy shop business, and which I honestly was playing around with that anyway. My daughter and I were making, Phil, we were making these kinds of toys.
Look at that. I think that's adorable, Julie.
Okay, Phil, this is Phil.
For those who are listening on iTunes, Julie has one of her handmade toys up against the camera, and Phil has a piece of paper that says, I'm jumping ship, to hide himself.
I love that line, Phil. I have to tell you, I don't know where you got that from. I've never heard that before.
Look at how cute he is. Look how cute he is. Look at those Christmas trees.
Phil, no, that's not Christmas. Alexa.
Oh, sorry.
No. Alexa. This goes with my camping theme. Okay. This is the Survivor theme. Here's the bear that we saw on Survivor.
The bear's not bad. It's the people. But I'm glad yours don't have mouths, because that's what
Look at the eyes.
So the eyes are like, it's okay. It's okay.
So Phil, I'm just going to hold this here as I tell my story, because this is the beginning of your exposure.
I can't see it. Can you actually put it a little closer to the camera? That's good. That's perfect.
All day.
Just like that.
I was staring.
I'm going to put it right in front of me. Phil.
This is perfect.
I'm talking through this phone now to you.
I got to get a picture of this.
I'm looking at a different
Let me get my fingers out of it.
That's
so
good.
Look, it actually looks like it's my head with my arms coming out.
Oh no!
Look, it's got nice hair. I like its hair.
I'm aware.
Phil. All right, so Phil. Anyway, this is the beginning. I'm going to hold it over here for a second.
This is why Julie is on Survivor, Phil. You need to appreciate this.
Phil, this is a kick-ass story.
I'm listening.
Okay. So
I'm looking at myself.
Zoe, my amazing Zoe, and I were already making dolls like this, like fun. Like, we were making our own doll houses and being creative that summer. And I thought, oh, I could sell these online. Like, this could be a home business. Like, this is doable. And that's something like different. And I created my Etsy shop, and Phil, you're looking at it.
I think
Oh
this
no,
is
I
very,
was
I think
looking
this
at the
is
live
very
chat. Don't worry.
inspiring. I think this is incredibly
All right, so
inspiring.
all right, now I'm going to put it away so Phil can pay attention. Slowly, it's
Back.
easing away. It's easing away, Phil. It's gone. It's gone. Okay. So anyway, so that fall, right? Fall 2017.
I have no idea where we are. Yeah.
No, focus. I'm making these toys.
Yes.
Etsy shop. Now I'm sending videos about my Etsy shop and my business. But look, my videos were always really funny. Like Lynn always said, like in interviews, like they cast for sex appeal, conflict, or humor. Which one of those three am I going to be, right? Like I have to be the humor. So all my videos were always funny, but now they started revolving around these toys, right? And I started sending videos about that. Still crickets, nothing. Now it's December and it's holiday season, and I'm getting like inundated with orders, and all of my time is spent painting these toys. Like, you know, Phil, I might sell.
Oh no.
I have a set of
Those are fine. That's
yeah,
fine.
that's scary. If you're scared of these, you got a problem. So
No, those are fine.
Do they have eyes?
No, but I have ones that look like snowmen for like Christmas time, and they're a little freaky.
I would like to see those.
So
I wouldn't.
I don't have them here right now, but okay. So anyway, these kind of toys, anyway, they take a long time to paint, and I don't sell them for a lot of money, right? I'm making, and I donate a portion of every sale to Feeding America, like for.
That's fantastic.
For meals for, you know, children who are in poverty. And thank you. And anyway, I'm making these toys and I'm painting, and I might have 50 orders now, like in 1 week for Christmas time. And one day I'm just painting the same toy. It took 2 hours. I'm making $5 on this toy, right? And I'm sitting there in my kitchen painting it all day. And my husband walks by, and he kept walking by throughout the day, every now and then on a Saturday. And he's like, is this really worth it? And I'm sitting there painting because he knows I'm not making any money on this. I'm like, if I get on Survivor, it is. And I'm painting and I'm painting. And lo and behold, I sent one more video in February 2018. And it was definitely about, I won't bring it out, the toys and making very funny jokes about the toys. And I get an email in 2 seconds from Lynn. And
2 seconds. Oh,
I hadn't gotten an email for 6 years from her, except that one call from somebody else a year before. And she was like, you might be exactly what we're looking for right now. And to casting in 2 days. And that was it. That's the story.
I have 2 things to say. Okay. One, that is the most emotional roller coaster isn't even the right word. So I can't imagine going through all of that.
Yeah.
2, I believe you dropped 3 F-bombs already, which may be passing Aurora's record. And that is something to be proud of.
You didn't see this on our season, but
let it loose.
Every other word out of my mouth is an F-bomb. And my kids call me on it all the time. They're like, Mom.
Those are good kids.
Yeah, they do. And I can't help it. That's how I've always talked. Always.
When I'm in a bar, I curse so much. And Julie, when I was talking to you and your husband, I knew I was dropping F-bombs like crazy. And I was like, oh my God, I'm saying that to Julie. Like, what's going on? And now here you come. And I'm like, you weren't dropping F-bombs there. What's going on here?
I don't know. There's a lot going on that night. That was right after, the finale. So,
I'm just saying I was saying so many. I was worried that you were going to be like offended. Like, wow, Phil.
No.
Your mouth over
I think
there.
if Julie wasn't going to like us, I think you would have not liked us a long time ago. I would like to think.
Why? What do you mean?
Well, you have been such a good sport with us / Phil, and any comments we have made about your toys. And so we are very, very, very appreciative.
Well, you're always defending them. I like it. No,
I think they're cute. For anyone who's listening, please go to henryandren.com. Proceeds are donated to Feed America. That is unbelievable. So we will promote this all over. But we have had so much fun with you this season. We've had so much fun with you this season, and we are glad that you don't think we're horrible and you think we're funny.
No, I love you guys.
We're 25 minutes in.
I didn't know who you were, honestly, before my.
That's fine. Hey, you know what? That's what everybody has said, so that's fine. Okay. As long as you know who we are now, right? Like, I do. That's good. But 25 minutes in, to sum up that casting thing, all I'm going to say to people is, be persistent, don't give up, and don't go to Spain. Those are the three things you need to not do.
You could have saved us 25 minutes if you had just.
That's it. Yeah, this podcast is going to be like end in 1 hour.
Much it. Answer your phone. Don't give up. That's it.
That was the craziest casting story, if not general story, I have ever heard.
Also, like for anybody who a lot of our viewers are very young, she was referring to a VHS.
What's very young?
Like I'm talking like we probably have like 13, 14, 15, 16.
Right. My kids don't know what VHS.
Yeah, but in terms of like VHS, it's like, guys, I remember the rewinder, and I know a lot of people are probably like, wait, you didn't just digitally put it in there? No. Yeah.
I remember our VHS thing was broken because we'd pull the cassette out and all of the film would come out with it. And we were like, oh, no more movies tonight. That's all we got.
I have to ask. Okay, then we can move on to Survivor Talk. How old are you guys? Oh, you're not.
Alexa, you go first. I want Julie to guess how old I am because I've got a really crazy response.
I'm terrible at that. I thought
this is a fun game. Wait, actually, yeah, guess both of ours because I just had a birthday and I don't think I put the number out in public. Okay. I would like you to guess both of our ages.
Alexa's younger than Phil, and I don't even know your guys' story. I feel like we're gonna have to do a whole nother podcast on your.
Our story is a good one
because, like, are you dating? Are you friends? Are you?
We're not dating.
We're not dating. We might be married, but no one's really sure.
Reddit thinks we're married.
Yeah, the internet made a post that was like,
Alexa's 25, and
I turned 26. I turned 26 a few days ago, so you are very close.
Pretty good. And Phil, 29.
I'm only 27, but I get that. You know what? The worst.
But that's close.
Mature.
No, that's close.
Mature.
I got a guess. I won't reveal which castaway it was, but one of the relatives guessed that I was 30, and I was like, "Whoa!" This was when I was 26, and I was like, "Whoa!" And then I was like, "Guess again," and they were like 35, and I was like, "Wait, you're going the wrong way. Turn around."
Oh no!
Go down.
Oh no! I'm usually terrible at guessing, but Phil, you look good. There's like no wrinkles there. I knew you were.
Thanks, Julie. Thanks.
No wrinkles.
I put a lot of makeup on before this, so we're good.
I can tell.
Yeah, as long as nobody else can.
Yeah.
But no, I love that story. I always like to hear the casting stories because almost every fan who's going to go out of their way to listen to podcasts about Survivor in some way imagines themselves playing Survivor. So when you can hear these stories from people and like here you are, season 3, you think it's a done deal. You're going to be, what were you, 29 at the time? 20.
Good.
So,
good math.
So 29, like you're going to be like, that's going to be your role on the show and all that. And then finally you get cast 17 years later in a completely different role, but it can just happen. You just have to keep going with it.
Yeah, you just go with it. Never give up. I am happy to help. If anybody wants to contact me on social media, ask for advice, casting videos, what I think they're, my opinion on anything, like I would die for that kind of information when I was going through this, like to be sending videos for 6 years and, and everyone around you telling you this is not going to happen. Like don't, focus on something else. I'm like, I can't, like it became an obsession. I get it. Like I truly get it. And to know from like 2001 till 2018, it took, even though I didn't apply every single year, I know what it's like. So I am happy to help anyone that needs it.
Well, we would love for you to stay on after we are done streaming. We have a couple follow-up questions for you, which would be fantastic. So you get the call. This is my favorite thing after casting. So you get the call. One, how many days are between you being all in and flying out, and what did you do in that period of time?
Okay, so I went to LA casting in February, right? Waiting to hear if I was going to get on 37 that left in sometime in March or 38 that was leaving in May. I was finally contacted in March that, sorry, you're not on 37, but you are very much in the running for 38. Hold tight. It's going to be another month. So by March, right, I left May 22nd. I left New York May 22nd to film our season. We had to go to LA first, but so by mid-March, that's 2 months before I left, I already thought in my mind, okay, they're considering me seriously for 38. I'm going to pretend I am on. So I really did prepare for 2 months because I thought I just have to pretend I'm on. So then I'll be ready even that much sooner. They actually didn't tell me that I was on until exactly almost a month before. I think it was April 24th or 25th is when they started making some calls, when they finalized the cast. So I really only had 1 month's notice, but I started preparing 2 months before. But as you remember, I was preparing preparing 6 years before because I had the laser hair removal done. I had already been working out. The year before I got on, I actually started working out like heavily. I changed my diet. I saw a nutritionist. I lost 20 pounds from the summer before I filmed the show to when I left. So I was already in physically, pretty good shape, but I started working out probably an hour and a half, 2 hours a day, like just fitting it in to try. I knew going in, like the oldest female has like the biggest uphill battle to fight in this game. If the tribe wants to stay strong, I could be seen as the weakest. If we lose the first challenge, I could be voted off first. That was my biggest fear. And I thought I just have to build these muscles to make me look as strong as I possibly can to help. So I was working out a lot. I went on birth control. Phil, if you do get on, you may want to consider the birth control pill for yourself.
Definitely do that.
Thank you for letting me know.
It's very helpful because if you're a woman like, I know you're a woman like I am, who's like in her 40s, and your period is all over the fucking place. And
when Phil's PMSing, it's really something.
Right. I mean, it's crazy. Phil, tell me like you don't understand this. Like when you get it like every 3 weeks, and then all of a sudden you get it for 2 weeks, and then you get it another week later. I mean, it's like, what it's like.
It's terrible.
And it's heavy. I mean, like when you put that plus tampon in and it goes through in an hour, Phil, it's bad, right? So the first thing I did before I even worked out was I decided I'm going on the birth control pill. And if you take it continuously, you can stop your period because there's no way I'm going to bleed all over that island, never knowing when it's coming and have one pair of underwear. So I went on the pill. It worked. I did not get my period. I worked out like crazy, like a maniac. That worked because a lot of people commented on how in shape I was. I cut out all sugar, caffeine, alcohol, anything from my diet that I thought I could detox off of so I didn't have to deal with it once I was there. And I binge watched at least half of the seasons that had already aired. And I froze nobody even knows this. They think I did nothing, but I froze the video and took screenshots of every single puzzle. Every scramble word puzzle, wrote it down. I had a notebook when I was there in Fiji before the game started, studying. And I had my son, Jake, who's amazing at puzzles, make mock puzzles for me so that he could teach me the technique because he would figure it out in 2 seconds. I'd be like, I don't know how to do this. I really prepared. Like I prepared seriously for that show. It may not have looked like it, but I did.
I think it seems like you did. I mean, remember, everybody's calling you jacked at the first immunity challenge. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, and the puzzles, I mean, I have a hard time remembering the challenges because by the time you watch like the same challenge so many times, it's who was on the puzzle, I remember. But you definitely probably did better than David, who had his puzzle book. So, I mean, just throwing that out there.
He showed me that puzzle book. It was amazing. I feel like I want to get David, if you're ever listening, I want a copy of that puzzle book. I really do. It was really impressive, the book that he made. Way more than what I did, which was just screenshots, and studying them. So it was cool. It was cool.
That's good to study it that way, though, because then you're watching the players do it and you're watching them either figure it out correctly or go the wrong path. And then not to do that.
Right. I mean, it was hard to remember them all. And, and then the truth is, like, and even David said, he did all of that work in preparing them, making that book of every puzzle. And in the end, it didn't help him. And when you're in the moment of doing a puzzle and you've got your adrenaline running and Jeff is screaming out different things, it's so hard. It can be hard to focus. So no matter how much you prepare, I feel like it's a crapshoot, honestly.
How do you handle pressure? Like, that's really what it comes down to, right? Like, you could be the best.
I handle it great. I mean, as you all saw, I'm like the master.
Yeah, there was not one point where you
I was as cool as a cucumber.
Very chill.
One thing I could think of where you broke.
Has talked about that on every podcast that they've done. Like how calm and just go with the flow I was every step of the way.
Yeah, I know. That's what everybody's been saying. So, I mean, maybe you can show us where you went a little crazy at parts, but
No,
we can't pinpoint one.
Can't even think of one time, Phil. I'm sorry.
Not one. Oh, I have no idea. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Not one.
All right.
So
no,
we get to Fiji.
Is that a shark fin? It looks like a shark.
Oh, a shark.
It's a triangle. What do you feel? How do you feel about wooden shapes, Phil?
Have you ever seen, Julie? Have you ever watched
This is
This is going to make me sound so nerdy, but I'm a huge fan of the original Planet of the Apes franchise, like the first 5, like from like the 60s and 70s. And in the third one, they do like all the shapes and stuff. And I feel like that's what you're doing to me right now. It's like, put them in the spot. Like they're trying to get the apes to do it. And you're like, Phil, look what this, a triangle. Like it's going to be okay.
We should have started with this because this is like, I mean, come on, this is benign.
Should have built up.
Phil, are you scared of this wooden triangle?
No, I'm not scared of the wooden.
Okay.
My fear makes a lot of sense. Like I'm talking like the weird like nutcracker, like walking, like the things that like move, like with legs.
Oh, wait, you are like
stand by,
like this kind of thing.
Oh my God!
What is that?
That's a wooden toy?
That's Chucky.
No, Phil. It's not wooden. It's not wooden. I mean, this is actually, none of these are wooden. Wait, can you see that?
Oh my God.
Gracious.
Maybe those are a little more terrifying. This is
For
like
those of you who are listening on iTunes, it's like a baby with
numbers on it.
And numbers and staring at you.
I mean, Phil, I just don't understand what you think is so creepy about this thing.
Oh my God, stop.
Okay, anyway.
Now Alexa's broken.
None of those are wooden, Phil. None of
your
them are
biggest defender, Julie.
plastic pieces of shit, and mine are like Alexa has spoken for me many times. Sustainable material, wooden, non-toxic toys. What's your fucking problem, Phil?
That's toxic. That is F-bomb number 5.
And also, that was the most aggressive one. Okay, that one was directed.
Don't make me laugh when I'm drinking because I'm notorious for spitting it out.
We will take note of that. Yeah, those are toxic. One, materialize, and 2, mentally.
Yeah, right.
Those, wow, I am shook. I don't know what to do now.
All right, what were we talking about?
Where were we? We were talking.
Fiji. Shall we go to Fiji?
Do you want to get?
Now,
are we getting to Fiji in this podcast?
You're gonna meet me at Newark, and we're gonna go.
Right now, let's go to Newark Airport.
You have to have a layover at LAX, right? Because like I can just go. That's fine.
Oh, we do. That's right. Right. Newark, LAX. We'll meet you there. Go to Fiji.
Sounds good.
Continue this from Fiji.
I will see everybody in 2 days. We're like Jeff with the vote. Like we'll see you guys.
See you
later.
Right.
Okay. Well, if we're going to Fiji, I mean, if you want to, like, if we're talking about the Survivor game, I mean, I could seriously talk 3 hours.
This is fun.
Process.
But I'm going to tell you guys, whoever's tuned in, I am in the apartment alone tonight. That probably wasn't the smartest thing to say, but I am alone because
it's cool.
My son Jake is at a birthday sleepover, and my daughter Zoe and my husband Mark are out of town. Right, they're at the beach, so I am here alone. That's not the way to say it. That doesn't happen often, right? I am never alone in this apartment. Like I have
good stuff.
Night. Like I'm giving you the stuff, and it is going to take all night. So
we are here for it.
I am committed to this. Like no one is here to
Anybody who thought the War Dogs was long, Julie is at 40 minutes, and we have not even mentioned the marooning yet. Okay. I just want everybody.
Now I'm thinking that's wrong because they're going to tune out. So
no, I don't think so.
If the way that I'm going to promote this tomorrow is that 45 minutes in, we have talked about your wild casting process, birth control and tampons. People are going to eat that up.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and we haven't even gotten to my lack of bladder control. So
yes, we haven't even gotten there yet, which is going to be.
But
amazing.
That starts in Fiji, so that can happen there.
Or it sounds like it also started in Central Park, Julie. And as a fellow Central Park urinator,
you know what it's like.
I find you to be quite relatable.
Yes, I did not. Dalton Ross in Entertainment Weekly coined my nickname, the Central Park Urinator, and I live up to that. And there's no shame in peeing in the bushes in Central Park because Alexa, you know what I'm talking about, right?
There's no public bathrooms.
No, and I was at a public bathroom, and actually there are, and I was at one.
They certainly exist.
You know, the one above Sheep's Meadow, right? It was 500 women waiting in line. There's only so long you can wait. And I was like, fuck this shit. I'm going in the bushes. And I literally walked behind the restrooms, and there was like a handful of bushes. They were not even, it was no deep shrubbery. It was like a bush and another one 5 feet away. And I just tried to duck behind one, and I just pulled down my pants and peed. And there were people walking by, and I didn't. Because it has to be done. Like,
you gotta just like make eye contact with them and assert your dominance. You gotta just
exactly. So I have no shame in peeing in Central Park at all.
Well,
absolutely not.
She clearly has, or not clearly. She also told us she has no shame peeing on Survivor over and over and over again before challenges.
That is true. That is true.
Yeah.
Aurora,
Yeah, tell us
I don't know.
before we were live.
Okay, I don't know if Aurora's still in the chat, but she can attest to this, that we would get to every challenge, and usually, like, say we're on a land one, right? And they would keep us in a tent on lockdown. You're not allowed to talk, but they would come, they would mic you because you're mic'd for the challenges. You would just wait, and everybody would take a turn one by one going just behind the tent. You could all hear each other. There was nowhere to go, just behind the tent, and go to the bathroom if you had to, right? And so everybody took their turn. I would go, and then like 5 minutes later, I'd be like, "Can I go again?" And then 5 minutes later, "Can I go again?"
Was cool with this?
What?
Jeff was cool with this?
No, Jeff's not there. This is before you're even walking into the challenge. This is like this is the pre-setup for the challenges. So I would keep going because I was just like, and Aurora like would joke about it with me in the game when we weren't in that exact moment, saying like, you're like, this is nervous peeing going on. And I'm like, I don't care. Even if there's one drip that comes out, like I need to get it out because I don't want to be in a challenge and feel like my bladder's full. Okay. And I'm also 46 years old at the time. Right now I'm 47. I've had 2 back-to-back pregnancies, like 50 fucking something pounds each. And don't tell me,
Number
I know what it's like. Alexa, Phil knows what it's like. He's a woman in his 40s. He knows what it's like to have like very weak bladder and, feel like you need to go a lot. So I needed to get everything out. And then we'd get to the challenge and Jeff would be like, they'd set us up. Come on in, guys, as he looks down. And I don't know if you guys noticed, I was always the one who was walking first because they did it in height order. So any tribe I was on first. So we'd walk in, we get to the mat, Jeff does his little spiel, and then it stops, right? Cameras stop rolling because they actually do an explanation where then they go into details about what the challenge really is like. You can ask questions. They do it for each tribe. Jeff will answer any questions you have. And then you have to wait for the other tribe to do it. And then even before so then we've done that, and I'd be like, I got to go again. And now I'm on like P number 10 in a period of 20 minutes. And now you don't have the tent to go behind. You just got to go find like some bushes and like get off the challenge, area and just go. And I would even go more. And that's just what I did. Like, I couldn't help it. It was nerves. I have to go now, honestly, but I'm not going to go now. And that's what it was. So
if you do need to go, Phil and I have mastered the art of small talking when someone does need to go to the bathroom. So fret not on that side. Just give us a wink.
I will. No, 43 minutes in, I already went 5 times before we started.
Dare I ask, what about the water challenges? Was it just going? Was it just happening?
The water challenges are rough. I actually wasn't in that many. I don't know if you guys remember. I kind of was out a lot of the challenges in the beginning.
You might have won a lot, Julie.
You might have, I actually heard you had a full feast of food, secret confessional, but we'll get there.
Yeah, that was a good confessional. Okay. So anyway, the water challenges when I was on one, so they keep you on a boat, each tribe on a boat. You're not on land. And if you have to go, and then you're just taken right off the boat into wherever the platform is for the water challenge. So you're peeing, if you're a man, you're peeing off the side of the boat. And if you're a woman, there's a bucket. And just pretty much try and hide behind any part of the boat there is. And you just pee right into the bucket and then you dump it in the water. And I did that 50,000 times. Yep.
I like what I'm enjoying about this, Julie, is like, what time in your life will you ever be more dehydrated and drinking less liquid than when you're on Survivor and you were still peeing like 5,000 times? I
was, but I do have to tell you, and this is more honesty, I basically drank as much water as I could because I have kidney stones. And I even talked about this in one of my videos. I had a kidney stone before Survivor, and I knew Survivor did not know this. So I hope they're not watching. I had more kidney stones in both kidneys as I went on Survivor. And I was so terrified that I was going to try, that one was going to go on the move and I was going to have to pass a kidney stone. And there's no way you can pass a kidney stone on Survivor. Like,
it just can't happen.
I would be that was my biggest fear, was actually I was going to have to be medically evacuated from the game if a kidney stone went on the move. So I was trying to constantly drink water just to keep, like, it's just better. It's just better for your kidneys if you can just drink as much water as you can. So I was drinking a lot of water and I was peeing a lot. So.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that makes That clears that up. I do want to acknowledge Aurora in the chat.
Yeah, she also just waited at us.
Number one, she's mad at us that we didn't give a family-friendly warning on this podcast, but we gave one on hers. And then number two.
Sorry.
This is family friendly, but also it's not.
I can clean it up.
No,
this is way more fun.
I thought they were like teenagers.
We do like
all the time.
We're giving them the fun like intro to real life.
No, you're totally fine. We don't care. It's just
we
gave a
warning
warning
make the
for
joke.
Aurora, and she's like, "Where's the warning for Julie?" And it's like, well,
we
Julie,
make the joke that it's family friendly, but
and then she also said, "I could have peed during this podcast. Damn it," because she had to pee like the entire last hour.
Yeah.
Which is so. Aurora, if you want to come back on just to pee and then log off, like we'll make that happen for you. We will do it.
Totally.
And Julie, obviously, if you do need to pee, then
I mean,
we are talking about peeing a lot, which is
I could be peeing right now and you wouldn't know it, and I'd be fine with it. So
we only see
the art.
Yeah, that's the art. Only see your face.
You have no idea right now.
so Julie, you finally end up on the boat after all this time.
The marooning.
The marooning.
Day one. We're at day one. Okay.
We're at day one.
We did it 9:46 p.m.
Oh, I don't mean all this time in terms of the podcast. I mean all this times in terms of you thought you were playing season 3. And now after all this time.
Since 2000, I am now finally on the boat. It was like May 30th, I think, 2018. I am on the marooning.
There you go. And so you are on that boat. Just give us like what's going through your head. How did you feel about the fact that you were going to be playing with returnees? What were you initially thinking about your tribe? Like, just let's hear.
Okay. So I even remember talking about this. They have you do some the pregame interviews the day before, and everything in my mind leading up to that day was like, I don't want to get voted out first. I feel like I am such like being the oldest, smallest. I mean, I went in there, I'm 4'11" and 3/4. I'm not even 5 feet. I started the game, I think at 102 pounds. I was like, this is not going to be good for me if we don't win at the first challenge. And I've seen it happen before, and not that it's every time, but they look to get rid of, maybe the weakest person, the oldest person, whatever. So I was terrified that was going to happen to me. So starting out, we're on the boat, on the marooning, and that's all I wanted was like, I can't get voted out first or second or third. Like literally, I was just like, this, so I see my tribe, and you can tell they position you. We're sitting on one side of the boat, and we're all in the same colorish schemes. And I'm looking around and I'm trying to see like who I can even possibly connect with, because all I thought was I have to play like this social game and connect with people right away, because I could be people's moms. Like there were many people I could have been their mom on this season, and I was like, I need to fit in right away. That's the only saving grace I'm going to have. And we all knew pretty much, because there weren't enough people on that boat, and even through that pregame prep, there weren't enough people. Survivor always has 18 or 20 people now, and we had 18. Wait, did somebody say this right? No. We had 16 people, but 2 of them were alternates. And we knew by the night before because they disappeared, right? They disappeared. They weren't there anymore.
Shipped them off in the night.
They disappeared. Like, who knows? Yeah. Who knows what happens in Fiji? But they disappeared. And I already was, I had heard that possibly in casting this could have been a fans versus favorites. I already had the idea there could be returning players in my mind. And now when we start the game, we're down to 14. And I knew, I didn't know there'd be 4 return players. I thought maybe there's 2, a captain for each tribe. I wasn't thrilled about it. I don't love mixed seasons. I just don't think it's a great idea for either, for the new people or the returning people. And that was my mindset immediately, was like, if I can find enough people who are on the same page as I am, that like maybe we just have find a common enemy. And if that's the returning players, because we're all in this experience together and they're a little bit different than that, then that's gonna work for me. And that's exactly was my mindset. And when Jeff announces the returning players and they come in on that boat, like I was not surprised. I see who comes up. I remember Gavin was sitting next to me. I have not heard anybody's voice, right? Because in pre-game prep, you're not allowed to talk to each other. You can see each other and you're trying to form impressions of everybody. But I hear Gavin, when Joe and Aubrey came on, they're like, I can't even do his accent.
I would love for you to try.
Joe's in red. I don't care if there's accent. Damn it, I'm sorry. Joe's in red. They're on our tribe. Like, you could tell their colors that they were wearing. He's like, we've got Joe. And I was like, oh my God, like, that's awesome. And I love Aubrey. So I was super thrilled. And I love David and Kelly. Like, I loved seeing who was there. But in my mind, I'm like, immediately that was like, okay, they can go. Like, they can go as soon as possible because that's not me going. And that was my mindset for sure. And I feel bad about it because I loved every one of them when I watched their seasons. They're some of my favorite players, but it didn't matter because at that point I'm like, I'm here to play this game and I got to put the target on somebody.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I really liked your Instagram post about Aubrey the other day where you were talking about her and like how you just like the mixed feelings you have on mixed seasons. But also like, you're worried I'm going to be the first boot. I don't want to be the first boot. Like, that's like one of the biggest fears you have in your head. And then you see somebody like Aubrey and Joe come up and you could say to yourself like, well, one, we have Joe, so maybe we won't lose. But then two, if we do lose, can I get enough people behind this? Because it is crazy, but it's an easy target because you already know about them. You already know who they are. So if nobody else is like ostracizing themselves. Right.
And I do think, the minute I started talking to people, once the rooting happens, you're back on, you get to your beach and you're starting to break out and introduce each other, but then you're like gathering firewood. You just immediately start, right, talking to people. And there were many people that I felt like were on the same page as I was. And it was an instant alliance. It felt like, because there were returning players. I don't know if like what I call the comma six, I know Victoria called it the secret six. I don't know if we would have gotten together so fast if the returning players weren't there. Like, because in my mind, that put them on the outs almost. Even though like you want them to be there, you want to get their knowledge of the game. Joe's amazing. Aubrey's an amazing social player. To me, it was like, I think somebody else has already said this. They've had their chance. Like, this is our time. There was that group mentality with a bunch of us, maybe except for Aurora. I know that Aurora probably didn't feel that way.
Yeah, and with that comma six, it grows because there's 9 people. 2 of them are, returning players. Think of Aurora. If it's 9 new players, the odds of getting that comma six, like, you don't really have anybody to go against right away. I know that
right.
Manu had kind of their Manu six, but
Right. It made it very easy for us when the returning players showed up, and Aurora, it was so obvious that she was like, she was enamored by them and she hung out with them a lot and she was talking to them all the time. And the way she was talking, I thought, okay, well, this made it really easy because if we're 6 and they're 3, I'm going to feel pretty safe if we lose 3 times in a row right now. Like, it really felt in my mind that divided. It really did.
Yeah.
Probably helped me, but maybe not, because I heard somebody else do a podcast where they thought that I would be the one going home if we had lost first. I never actually, once I found that comma six and it formed really quickly, I actually wasn't as concerned as I was leading all the way up to that game.
And we've talked to Eric and Aurora, and neither one of them said you. I think they both said Vic. So I'm curious when we start talking more comma people.
I have a different story than that. I mean, for me, it's weird. This is the one thing I was going to say, and I haven't had a chance to say it yet. Like, I've listened to a bunch of people's podcasts. Yours, obviously, everybody who's been on yours in the last week or two. And I've listened to the other Survivor podcast that's been going on with some other players from my season. And I've kind of come to realize, like, everybody has their own perspective and their own version of everything that happened in the game. And because it's they're telling their story, and they're the lead character in their story, right? So I hear people saying different things that I don't necessarily think was true, whether it's about me or just about anything in general going on in the game, where I have a completely different perspective on it. And I don't know whose is the truth, because like, everybody puts themselves as the like I said, the lead character in their story. So my perspective was on that comma six and who was going to go home first is different than other people's. And maybe I was not in the know, but I know the conversations I had with people, they're real. Like, I'm not making this shit up in my head. So I think everyone has their own perspective.
And who did you think it would have been?
In my mind, it would have been Aurora or Aubrey. I think because it was clearly a 6 against the 3, whether that was made so known or not. And I don't think any of us were going to be willing to get rid of Joe that quickly, because obviously he was going to be really helpful in the challenges. Like, you can't deny that. So it would have been Aurora or Aubrey is what I discussed with many people in that 6. Maybe they discussed Victoria. I know Eric said that he and Ron thought that it was going to be that people were saying it was going to be me and that they were going to be able to sway the vote off of me. I never remember hearing anyone say that it was going to be me. So I don't, maybe Joe and Aubrey and Aurora. And that does bring up, honestly, I don't know if she's still in the soccer mom comment. Soccer mom comment did not first come out at that crazy live tribal. The soccer mom came out on night 1. And that was a problem for me. So maybe Aurora, and then because she was with Aubrey and Joe, maybe they were throwing my name out and gunning for me. And that is definitely the idea that got stuck in my head the more she started calling me a soccer mom. Because basically we're sitting around the campfire night 1, right? Joe's made the fire in 2 seconds from the minute we were on the beach.
He snaps his fingers and it's roaring.
Joe, we never had to start it again for 17 days. And we really,
man.
Even in the rain, I mean, they taught us, you take the iron pot and you put it over the ashes. And like, even if there's just one ember there, you can easily restart it very quickly once you need to.
This is incredible.
So, I'm sure it was restarted at some point, but it really felt like that fire was going for 17 days. And basically, the first night we're around the fire and we're talking about like, okay, let's all talk about tell about yourself, or tell about what your impressions were of everybody, because we all sat around for 5 days at Ponderosa pre-game staring at each other. And gets to Aurora, and she's sitting next to me, and she's like, maybe I started talking about myself, and her first comment to me was, I totally had you pegged as a soccer mom. Like, in a good, she's saying it like, you're a soccer mom. And I'm like, what? I'm like, stop. I'm like, I really cover her mouth. Because all I thought was like, I don't want to be the mom on this tribe. I don't want to be like pointed out as the person who's different. Eric was the only other parent on our tribe. Me and Ron were the oldest, but everything I was doing was to not get voted out first, to not be different than any of these people. And she comes right out with soccer mom in 2 seconds, which to me has a very negative connotation. I don't know if that's true, but like, I'm a New York City mom. My kids don't play sports. I don't even know what a soccer mom really is, but I can assume it's basically like you put all your energy into your kids, which I don't think that should be a bad thing. Like, that's somebody's choice, like what they're doing with their life at any stage in their life. And like, if my kids are everything to me, that's great. But soccer mom just feels like you have nothing better in your life than to drive around after school all day and take them to soccer practice and then scream on the sidelines at every.
And also, I think like soccer mom also has like an out of shape type like thing. Cause like I grew up in like middle of nowhere, like New Jersey, like real South. And like, there were a lot of soccer moms, but I always felt like soccer mom, like, Julie, I don't see you as a soccer mom. So Aurora, I
don't either. And I love Aurora. Aurora and I get along great now, but that was the beginning of our relationship. And because she didn't stop saying it like 5 times, maybe in that first night, like sitting around the fire talk. And I really, honestly, I think at some point I probably turned to her cameraman and I was like, do you have duct tape? Because I need to like fucking duct tape now. And from then on, which everybody is like, why was she so obsessed? And they're narrowly focused on Aurora later in the game. Because from night 1, I thought, she's trying to put the target on me. If we lose the first challenge, she's going to get in everybody's minds. I'm different. I'm the mom. She goes. And I really, truly believe that the entire game. And I thought, if you're going to come after me, like, I'm coming after you. Mm-hmm. And the problem is I never lost sight of that. There were other things along the way that were issues with our relationship that happened. But that was where it all started.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean, the best
I would have said she's going home first. That's the point of that whole story.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And the best way to avoid all that is to be safe for 22 days, right, Julie?
Yeah.
I don't think it was 22 because as far as I remember, Joe went home on day 19.
Well, no, but you weren't able to go home on day 19.
Oh, that's good. Yes.
With your guns.
Because somebody had won immunity and was safe until day 22.
Was it 22 when Eric went home? I don't remember the days.
Or maybe it was 21. I don't know. But either way, it's like the best way to avoid being the first person voted out or the second person voted out or the third person voted out, you just never lose.
Just don't even have the option of being voted out.
No, I fully admit, like, I had a very special Survivor experience in our season that there's not a lot of tribes that never go to tribal council, don't even have to worry about being voted out. Have somebody, look, we all contributed. I know a million people say this. We all were there in the challenge, or the ones I was participating in, you know, we were all there at camp. It's not, one person doesn't win or lose the game for any tribe. But of course, like the advantage that we had with Joe on our tribe was unbelievable. And
I don't think we need to like defend that. I mean, I'm just saying it like, you know, it's crazy that the first tribal council you go to, that where you're actually able to get voted out, you get blindsided, and then it's like, well, why did Julie like lose it the next day? It's like, well, she just got blindsided at the
going on. Nobody will even admit to there was so much more going on than Eric getting voted out. That honestly was not what it was about.
Talk to us.
It was a little bit about what it was about, obviously. Like that triggered things, I'm sure. But how I remember it, okay, is we merged on day 17, right? We have the big feast. So, okay, even playing field, everybody has now eaten like a huge meal, right? Okay, even though
you sound like you were eating a 17-course meal.
I was eating very well. But honestly, Alexa, in the game of Survivor, you eat well like on one night, and like by the next day, if you're back to eating like a half a cup of rice, it's nothing. It goes right through you. Like it's not there. So anyway, okay. So day 17, we merge. Everybody eats the big feast. Between day 17 and I don't know the date of Julia's tribal, like what night that was that she went home. But I remember from like day 17 to it was a week. Okay. Day 24, day 25, something around there. I was eating the little quarter cup, half a cup of rice a day, and the coconut, if you can get it chopped up in, which I had trouble with. But and basically, there was the Chinese food reward that happened, which I did not win. And then there was the immunity challenge where you could give up trying for immunity if you wanted that disgusting amount of pizza.
That looked horrifying.
It was horrifying. I took one look at Jeff's like, you want to know what you're paying for? And he reveals the pizza, and I'm like, ugh. Like, even like I'm hungry, but like that's nasty. And
first person to drop out of the challenge has to eat this. Has to. Doesn't have a choice.
Right. That's what it should. So that would be a good challenge, actually.
Yeah.
So,
Survivor pizza looks gnarly.
So I was the person that had gone the longest without winning Chinese food or opting for pizza. Nobody else but me, by that point in the game, a couple of days later, had gone since the merge feast, right? So and it was my first experience with true starvation in the game because Kama did get so much food off that boat. So the starvation set in. I was starting to lose my mind at that point, and I was mentally like starting to miss the kids. I'm hitting now around day 20 something. It's halfway through the game. You don't know how they're doing. I am a serious control freak, and to not know what is going on at home, it really started to set on me. So all it took was the physical fatigue, the starvation. I was sleeping an hour a night, like the first half of the show. And then the emotional and missing my kids and everything. And then obviously Eric gets blindsided. So I have been crying like for a couple of days leading up to Julia's tribal, where it was more about my kids. That day that somebody said like she was crying the whole damn day, like she couldn't hold it together. It was about my kids. It wasn't anything to do with Eric and being blindsided and thinking I was on the bottom. It was truly, I'm like, physically and emotionally, I'm losing my mind. And that was my rock bottom. And I saw everybody cry in this game, and everybody hits a rock bottom at some point, and that mid game was mine. So that was more to do with anything about my breakdown than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, that totally makes sense. So yeah, because Ron seemed to be the one who was more hurt by the Eric thing even more than you, because he was so close with Eric.
He was very close. Although Eric was my very first alliance, and none of it ever got shown. But Eric and I, like on day one, were like, I want to work with you. I want to work with you. And like, it was an immediate alliance. I know they look at it differently. I think they think that, and they probably did do it first. You know, the two of them were together, and then Ron acts like, he said that I got brought in and Gavin got brought in. I don't remember it that way at all. I remember it. Eric was my number one person alliance. And then the two of us were standing there talking to Ron a little later saying, and I was like, we need to watch out for each other. We're the three oldest on the tribe. Eric, you and I are parents. They get targeted very quickly. Ron had been throwing up and was sick. I'm like, we need to protect each other. And very quickly, we joined forces with the three younger ones, Gavin, Victoria, and Julia. And that became the Kama Six. So I never felt like it was anybody, like I felt like I was equally a part of that six. Like obviously maybe I wasn't, but Eric being blindsided, like it was devastating because I didn't think that Kama was going to implode like that so quickly. I mean, but you saw how I talked to Rick at the merge feast. I was already setting up for the future because I knew that six wasn't going to stay together forever. And I was already building a big relationship with Rick and David because they seem like a pair. And I was thinking that Ron, Eric, and I were going to need to split at some point from the other three, and we were going to cross over. And I was building those relationships. I started doing it with Lauren too. And unfortunately, the other three got to us first.
When you mentioned talking to Rick at the merge feast, and I'm scooting backwards a little bit, you're watching that Edge of Extinction first re-entry challenge. Who, in your mind, if you had it your way, who would you have wanted to come back? Like, was Rick the person you wanted back? Did you just not want, say, Aubrey to come back? What were your thoughts? And also, what was it like for that to happen?
I mean, there wasn't anyone because almost everyone wasn't on my original tribe who was there. Was Aubrey the only person?
Yes, she was.
She was.
Right. So I didn't know anything about any of those other people. So it wasn't in my, like, none of them mattered to me of who I wanted to come back. I guess I was worried if Aubrey came back. I was worried that she had been blindsided. She was immediately going to go with the other people, rally people against us. That was my fear, was like, oh, we could be in trouble if Aubrey comes back. But everyone else, I wasn't even thinking it mattered to me, like, because I just didn't even know them. I didn't know anything about their game.
Yeah. And you hadn't
even talked to the other tribe yet. We were all just sitting there, like, and like we weren't allowed to talk. And like, so I know nothing about any of these people. I couldn't really form any opinion about them.
So, but as being a huge control freak, as you just said, when you watch all the players who have just been voted out come back, like, to do a challenge, what are you thinking when that's going on?
Wait, say that again. I was like focusing like on this.
Why? That looks like me. What is this?
Oh my gosh.
Like a bald me.
No, he's not bald.
Oh, he's not. It looks bald.
Look, he's got hair. Phil, it's you.
It is you, Phil.
Did you make one of those for just me, Julie? I'm honored.
No,
I'm honored.
I did actually try to. I did try to start making one for Alexa, but it's looking like a nun that's wearing like some blue vest.
I am wearing a blue dress right now.
Oh, you are. But this is supposed to be your blue jean jacket, and you wore like a black top and black jeans to a finale. I guess it was the last finale, not our finale, but
that was.
I didn't get your eyes on yet, but this is
Julie,
you, Alexa.
I cannot believe you made toys of us. I am honored.
I'm not really satisfied with them, so I'm going to have to remake them, and then maybe you'll get them one day.
I will say, Julie, if you wanted to have me get over my phobia, make one of myself. Like, I'm fine with that. Like, look how great it looked. That's like the best looking toy I've ever seen.
Right, exactly.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that's an incredible toy.
Julie, that is the nicest
the Alexa
thing
one I'm terrified
anyone has ever done for any of us. That is so sweet of you. And those are adorable.
Thank you. All right. So what were we saying? So I really wasn't focusing on your question because I was like staring at them. Would you ask me about the returning players and coming back?
I was I forget what I was asking. You know what? I'm so like happy that I now have like a toy of myself.
Yeah, this is like this is fame.
I think we've made major headway in your phobia. What?
Wait, say that again?
Oh, I lost you. I said I think we made major headway in your phobia just by showing you that. I think so.
Myself. I just had to see myself as a wooden toy.
Right.
Now you're one of them.
Yes.
Oh God. No. Now this is bringing the phobia back.
I think we were talking about. I don't know. Kind of going into Edge of Extinction.
Let's go back before Edge of Extinction because I mean, we don't need to go in order, right? Let's go back before Edge of Extinction, though, because Julie, you're the first person we're talking to who was on New Comma. So I just want to know what you thought the dynamic was like there, because we talked to Eric and he was with Aubrey. So we really didn't see much of any of you.
No, you really didn't. Yeah. Wait, you're cutting in and out, but okay. I guess it's okay.
Oh,
okay.
We're back.
That's on me. But Alexa, rephrase the question.
No, I got it. What did I think of New Comma?
Just the dynamics on the New Comma, because we'd spoken to Aurora. But yeah, we'd love to hear more about that.
Okay, New Comma was Julia, me, Ron. Wait, I've lost you. Phil is now going, I don't know what Phil is saying.
We're muttering.
Okay. All right. Okay, so but you can hear me if I just talk to this. Right?
So I can hear you. I was mumbling because I forgot that Aurora was actually on that trip. So we did talk to Aurora, but you're the second person.
Julia, Aurora, me, Ron, Joe. Yeah, Ron, Joe. Okay, I don't know. Okay. Anyway, here's what I thought. Basically, I was psyched that we didn't get we didn't have any new people. We didn't get mixed up, right? Because that was huge to me. I think you guys heard it. I said in a confessional when it was time for the tribe swap. That's another big fear. Like, okay, I've been in this 6-person alliance. We haven't lost yet. I'm in a great spot. Like, I really am not worried. And now all of a sudden tribe swap happens. I could be put on the minority and be booted out in 2 seconds. So I turned to Joe right before we were all picking those little packages of buffs. And I was like, I'm going to pee in my pants right now. Like, that's how nervous I was, which honestly, that's an expression everybody says. I don't know why people jumped on that, as another bladder issue, because everybody, Phil, right? You've said it, right?
I say it all the time.
Right. Okay. Alexa, do you?
I missed that. Sorry.
You got to pee in your pants. I'm so nervous.
It was a very normal
phrase. I'm going to throw up. I'm so nervous. I'm going to pee in my pants. That's something everybody says, right?
So all the time.
Okay, so I said that, and that's how nervous I was. And then we open up the buffs, and I see Joe, me, Julia, Aurora, and Ron all have the same comma buff. And I was so excited. That was my first thought, was oh my God, how is that possible? My second thought was oh, Jeff is so not happy. He wants a tribe swap. He wants things mixed up to shake up the game. I almost thought I was oh, Jeff's going to say, we're redoing this. Give us back your buffs. I was sure. But he didn't. No, he was this is what it is. Nobody got swapped except Wendy. So I was really excited. And I was also really excited because me, Ron, and Julia, who had been in a 6-person alliance, stayed together with Joe and Aurora. So I felt like I was still in a majority, even if we lost a challenge. I see Eric and Gavin and Victoria as a majority with Wendy and Aubrey. That was my whole alliance. My alliance stayed in a majority, even though we got split. So I was thrilled that was how it ended up. And we got back to camp. We obviously kept winning challenges, right? We did amazing. Everybody got along really well. We never really had to talk about who was going to go home. We never ended up losing. But in my mind, again, I was very solid with Ron and Julia. Aurora and I were bickering quite a bit by that point. Love you, Aurora.
She's gone now, so you can give us the real content now.
So Aurora just tended to be a little bossy, and everybody saw that. And a lot of it I felt was directed at me. I would even ask, I'd be Victoria, do you feel like that? Are you noticing what I'm noticing? And she's like, oh yeah. Anything I did those first couple of weeks, Aurora would correct me. I would put a little stick on the fire. Don't do it like that. You're smothering it. I would be walking around near the shelter, and she's like, you're stepping on the palm fronds. You're going to crush them. I would try to do chop something. You're hitting it the wrong way. Every single thing. And I thought, she's really targeting me. She really wants me gone. That's why what happened to me with Aurora. I had it in my head that I was public enemy number 1 to her. So we were bickering the whole time, but I was okay with it because I still had, in my mind, I have Ron and Julia. And if we lose a challenge, Joe or Aurora, one of them would go. So I still at that point wasn't so concerned. Whether Ron and Julia really truly felt that way, I don't know at this point.
Do you think that you were getting close to booting Joe because you knew a merge was coming? You wanted him out before the merge, or no?
I think at that point I was so focused on Aurora even early on that I would have done Aurora before Joe. Mm-hmm. I probably would have. Even though knowing a merge is coming, I think in my mind, come merge and it becomes an individual game, that's when I want to get rid of Joe, because I don't see, if you saw how he performed in every comma challenge, there's no way I thought I was going to be able to compete against him in every individual immunity challenge. I ended up winning that first one, which was amazing, but I didn't know that I was going to be able to keep that up if Joe stayed around. So in my mind, merge comes, Joe goes.
Mm-hmm. Joe was in one individual immunity challenge this season, and you won that challenge.
That is an accomplishment.
Sorry, Joe. I know. That was huge. That was one of the best days of my life, honestly. Remembering that moment and hearing when he fell, I always was okay. don't freak out. Don't freak out. Like, you've got this, like, stay focused. Like, you can continue. But it was huge to me, like, huge. Like, nobody would have ever expected that, honestly. At that point, I'm probably 90 pounds. Okay. Like, there's no, and somebody even asked in one of the chats, I think Aurora or Eric's that I was in the other night with you guys, they were like, is that pole, like, certain challenges for height, obviously we're measured and the heights have to be adjusted, like with the block over our head, like I was standing on is so much higher than everybody else's for height. Nothing else is ever adjusted. So every table that I had to climb over, not adjusted obviously for height. And that pole, it was the same weight that Joe was holding. And it was bearing down so fucking hard on my head. But I do think that was my strategy. People ask me, they're like, how in the world did you keep that up? It was like 47 minutes. Because I knew, like, my arms, even though they're muscular, like, I wasn't going to be able to keep my arms held up like that. So I just pulled down and I put all of the weight on my head so that, like, that was bearing the brunt of all of the pressure.
And now
distributed the weight a little bit too.
And now you're 4'10" 3/4" instead of
Exactly.
4'11".
Yeah.
Totally, yeah. I lost an inch, but it was worth it.
Yeah.
It was worth it because you want individual immunity. Like,
Yeah.
I know. I know.
and then you win that individual immunity, and that's the night Joe goes home, and you're part of the group that votes out Joe.
Yes.
Was that even like a tough decision for you, or are you just like, we're doing it?
You know, with the editing, it's hard to say because I remember it differently than what the editing showed. I know that we were discussing, the group that I was in was discussing whether it should be Joe or Kelly. In my mind, how I remember it, I always thought it should be Joe. I know people say that probably wasn't the smartest move at that point to get Joe out that early on, but we saw how I was in every challenge with Joe, right? Like, the other tribes aren't watching Joe in the challenges. They're focused on their own, you know, their own tribe as they're trying to compete. I saw what Joe could do, and I really thought, like, I think Ron said this, anytime you can take out Joe is the time to take him out because you never know if you get it again. And I said that repeatedly to people. The edit made it look like I was more for voting Kelly out. I think that was more that I was just discussing both options with people and open to both options. But I whether it was the right move or not, I thought Joe should go home first. And I was in on that conversation. I distinctly remember standing around Tree Mail. You know, they don't show it anymore, but Tree Mail is where you get, like, the little poems about what the challenge will be that day. And it was me and Eric and Gavin and Ron. And the four of us sat there discussing, like, okay, like, we need to make a decision. And I think they even show me saying, like, we can do this a million different ways, but, like, we all have to have a consensus. Like, it can be. But I was pushing for Joe hard. And I think the edit made it look like Kelly. But I could have gone either way. I wasn't going to, like, die on the sword for, you know, making sure that my opinion, you know, was the one that happened. I know Ron has talked about it, that he decided it was going to be Joe. So we all did Joe. I wanted Joe, like, day one. So.
Right. And at that point, like, kind of like you said early on, there was always the let's get out their attorneys. So if you weren't going to vote for Kelly that time, there was probably another chance that you were interested in voting for her.
Right. And I had also heard that Joe had been going around to people pitching, like, let's get a strong person alliance going, like Eric and Joe and Lauren. I don't remember who else was considered the strong players, I think, physically, like, so they could use each other as shields and we need to keep each other around. Clearly, I wasn't going to be in that alliance. I was never approached for that. And so that's another reason. Joe was never approaching me.
As you're wearing your individual immunity necklace.
Yes, yeah. See how big that thing was? Like, it was hanging. Like, I'll show you pictures.
It's so big.
So big. Somebody made a joke like, okay, well, the prop department built this for Joe this season.
Yeah. You and Aurora both had it on and it looked like a shawl.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Julie's hula hoop. She's like,
exactly. I should have done that. I should have just, like, put it on and put my arms right through it when Jeff put it on me.
Oh
and,
my
like,
gosh.
My bra. Yeah.
So we've talked Joe, we've talked Eric.
Okay.
Can we get to jumping ship? I think that's where we were when we backtracked when you showed me myself as a wooden doll.
Yeah. Yes. We can get to jumping ship.
Let's get to jumping ship because I know this was the day after.
After Eric got voted out.
Mm-hmm.
It was the next day.
That's what we've heard, right? It was the next day, I think.
Well,
that's what War Dog said.
Eric went out. Wait, Joe went out on day 19.
Here, I'll look this up.
Eric went out on 21 or 22. So Julia would have gone home on, like, day 23. That makes sense. I hadn't eaten since day 17 and now it's day 23. Yeah, it's like 6 days. Yeah, that probably makes sense.
So either way, you've explained. Go ahead.
Yeah, you.
Oh, me.
No.
Fine.
What were
Me.
you gonna
Fine.
say?
I was just gonna
Do
say,
it.
no, you've explained how it was like you were very emotional because of your kids.
There's other stuff going on personally for me that had nothing right. I mean, it was the game. I was starving. I was like ready to chew my arm off. Like that's how bad it was. So personally, I was breaking down. I was crying a lot that day, but there were a few things that happened. The night before, I think it was of Julia's tribal council. The night before, we were playing Mafia. I don't know if you've heard this around the campfire, and I'm playing, and there were two people that were extremely good at that game because we played a lot of rounds. And it was War Dog and it was Julia. And when Julia spoke and whatever she said, I'm like, wow, she's a really good liar right now. And she's way more strategic than I realized because she's a great actress. And I'm starting to get concerned. That whole game, I thought that. I'm like, I am concerned about this person. She's going to run away and take this game because nobody is suspecting her. She was just always smiling, super happy, right? And I was like, there's something else going on here. So that was the setup, Mafia. The next day, we building up to it. I'm crying all day, starving, missing my kids. And they're trying to bring us back in. Gavin, Victoria, and Julia, right? They're acting like, no, sorry, we had to blindside Eric. He was being really sketchy. He was making final 3 deals with everybody. And the truth is, I mean, honestly, in my mind, me, Ron, and Eric were going to split off at some point and go with Rick and David. I really did want to build that relationship and form an alliance with Rick and David. To me, it was too soon to do it because we didn't have the numbers, like to be a 5, but that was my future. So they were right in suspecting, at least in my mind, that they were worried about us breaking off. It almost became like the old, like in that 6,6 alliance, the old versus the young, which was my fear all along, that the old would get targeted. And basically, Eric got blindsided. We played Mafia. Julie, you're so amazing at it. Oh shit, what am I going to do now? And then crying all day. People said I was losing my mind. I probably was, but okay, hit rock bottom. And but they were still telling us the vote was going to be Kelly, except we were going to split the votes, right, in case there was an idol. And nobody was telling me. I know I listened to Victoria's podcast, not on you guys, and she's saying, we talked to her the whole day. We said, every step of the way, I held her hand and told her who we were voting for. That is not how I remember it. I either really lost my mind, like she says, or no one told me specifically with the vote split of who I was voting for, and I was asking, but I wasn't getting a clear answer. So I felt like something's up, and it can't be this close to tribal, and we haven't determined who's voting for Kelly and who's doing the Plan B vote. So I thought something's not right. Ron comes to me. Maybe it's 20 minutes, 30 minutes right before we're leaving for tribal. I'm assuming it's about then. And he comes right up to me, pulls me over, and he's like, I think it's going to be me tonight. They're voting me tonight. He was so fucking paranoid. I was going to vote Kelly. I was on board, or David, but I hadn't been told yet. I was so on board with it. I'm like, Ron, calm down. What do you mean? It's not going to be you. And he's like, it's going to be me. It's going to be me. It's going to be me. Oh, I got to go do a confessional. Bye. And that was the last I was able to talk to him. And I thought, oh my God, he really thinks it's him. Okay, maybe it is. I tried to talk to Gavin. And I was like, Gavin, who's writing down whose names here? And he wouldn't give me a straight answer. Wow. He couldn't say Kelly or David. And I think now that I remember it, and I love Gavin, Gavin and I are super close now. I remember I pulled him away from the fire, but not, I guess, away enough where he thought we were in private. Because I'm like, who am I supposed to, which one, who are you voting for? Because who's splitting the votes on who? And he's like, you're gonna mess up my game right in that accent. The accent. You're messing up my game right now, because he thought we were too in public of Kelly, Lauren, and War Dog. And I'm like, that, to me, I'm like, oh, he's not working with me. Because if I'm messing up his game by talking to him, something's not right.
Yeah.
So I sit back at the
normal that you're talking to him.
I sat back at the fire, and I'm next to Victoria, and I thought, I have to do something. And they didn't show any of this. I'm like, I have to do something. Ron thinks it's him. He's going to come back from his confessional, and it's going to be locked down, and we're not allowed to talk anymore, because I knew the sun was starting to set. We had to go. And I was like, oh, my stomach really hurts. And I made an excuse. I was going to the bathroom, I was going to be sick. And I ran Okay, that's how I left Victoria, and I ran around the entire beach, like down one trail, around the beach to where I knew Rick and David were sitting at where the tribe flag was on a certain section of the beach, and there was a cameraman on them. And I ran around the damn island, okay? And I get up to them and I wave them down, like so nobody would see me talking to them. And I was like, Ron is convinced it's him tonight. We have to do something. But even with Ron, who I'm never going to be allowed to talk to now once he gets back, there's only 4 of us. So 4 of us doesn't make a vote. So I don't know what to do. And I'm like, but I think Julie is running this whole thing and it needs to be her tonight. And I literally said that to them. And I wish they had shown that because like it was in my mind, get Julia out tonight before I broke down and before anyone else started talking to me at that tribal. So I said to them, I don't know what we're going to do. We're 4 votes on Julia, but how's that even going to work? And the truth is the plan's Kelly, but I don't know if that plan is real. So maybe we write down Kelly hoping it's real and maybe we figure out how to get Julia out. I ran back around the island, back the other way. I have no energy at this point. I'm dying. Get back to the fire. Ron comes back. We're on lockdown. Nobody can talk. Mm-hmm. And the whole ride over, well, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but okay.
It's fine.
I don't know if it's known how we get to
You're not the first person. It's okay.
The whole journey to tribal council, in my head, you're silent, and all I'm thinking about is how am I going to get this to happen? I did want to protect Ron. I wanted to protect my alliance. I wanted to get Julia out. I thought, you know what? She's going to run away with this game if nobody gets her out. And all it took, I did go into that tribal. I know none of my cast believes me. I went into that tribal thinking, like, I knew I was cracking all day, right? From pressure and from feeling starving and missing my kids. And I knew all I was going to take was Jeff to ask me one question for me to break down. And in my mind, I called it what looked like a chaotic tribal was like organized chaos in my mind, because I knew I needed to do something and divert like what was happening. And I opened up, like the floodgates started the minute Jeff asked me something. And of course, it took War Dog and Rick to jump on it in 2 seconds and to start throwing out their ideas. Like I didn't have the mindset of what I was going to do once I started breaking down. But very quickly, like Julia's name was thrown out of my mouth so fast once War Dog was talking to me. And that's how it happened.
Yeah, that's what's so interesting about this is like we've already talked to the last 2-3, and I forget if they exactly said like they remember who they were voting for that night. But like if you're trying to split the votes between Kelly and David, both had idols that night. So it's like Kelly had an idol, David had an idol. Kelly said she was ready to play her idol because she just
didn't know that, right?
Yeah. So it's interesting. Like who would they have voted? Who would they have gone for? You know?
Well, so this is interesting. So Julia, Gavin, and Victoria were playing both sides, and I do feel like they did that horribly. They only had 1 day to try and do it after the Eric Wine side, but they did a terrible job of making Ron and I feel comfortable and as if like, oh, we just voted your main alliance member out, but don't worry, stick with us. Like we're back with you. There's no way I was going to really believe that. And they obviously, from what you saw in the edit, made Kelly very nervous right before leading up to tribal council when Julia really was giving those looks, like winking. I saw winks. I saw to them from Julia, and I'm like, something's not right. And they played both sides and they got caught. So who did they tell? Who did they tell Kelly, Lauren, and War Dog to vote for? Who did they think? I think they thought it was going to be David.
Yeah, I think that's right. Ron thought
it was going to be him. At that point, it didn't even matter to me. I said it. They didn't show everything. That tribal went on for hours, and I said so much more than what they showed. But I said to Ron, I don't give a shit anymore. Like, if the vote is really Kelly or not, it doesn't matter. We're on the bottom. So where are we going from here? Like, this is not where I want to stay, and this makes no sense to me, and I'm jumping. I said, I'm jumping ship right now, and you got to come with me. And he was very torn, obviously. I didn't realize how close he was to Julia at the time. I know it wasn't the best move to do in front of the jury. I lost all respect at that point. I think it tanked my game. I get that. But just in the moment, like, I fully support what I did because I don't think the game would have ended in a better way for me. I wouldn't have won. I wouldn't have gotten more votes by sticking on the bottom of that alliance that were just waiting to knock Ron and I out at some point. So I felt like I did what I had to do.
Yeah.
And
so
I support for it. Even though there's like the trolls on Twitter. Oh my God, like I'm terrible. But like, right. The number of people who have like messaged me and contacted me saying like, oh my God, it's like so refreshing to see somebody who's like so raw, emotional, vulnerable, like in a game, like a reality game where like you see a lot of game bots. And I'm not saying on our season, but like just in general, like people really got behind me and gave me a lot of support for being who I was.
Pay attention to them more than the negative people. Because the negative people who care.
No.
You know how many people hate me?
No.
Not as many as you, Julie.
Only this girl. No.
Yeah, my God. But no, it's so you think though that's the moment where like at that point it's like you're gonna have a hard time sitting next to anybody to win after that tribal council.
Oh, I don't know if it was like it sunk in right after that. No, I didn't think it didn't hit me right after that what just happened and what I did to my game. I don't think I was that aware because I was so emotional in the moment. But between then and the end, I mean, for sure, there was like I could see how things were going, and it was very hard for me to try and reverse it. I just kept trying to build the relationships that I had, but yeah, I think the people's opinions of me, look, I say this all the time. I think people's opinions of me were set before I even stepped on that beach. Like people form their pregame perceptions of you just from looking at you. Look what Aurora said about me. Like I was already pegged as the mom. The first thing Victoria said to me after looking at her for 5 days, she was like, "You remind me so much of my mom." And I'm like, oh, like this is like the kiss of death. But this is what I am. I could have played the game on Survivor Africa and been 29 and single, but I can't change who I am right now. But it's really hard for certain characters or people on the show to fight those like perceptions of them. And if you're the mom and you're really aggressive and you're, backstab people, you're considered a bitch. And if you're not, you're me and you're subtle and emotional and nobody wants to give that person $1 million.
And because what I thought was interesting is it seemed they showed a lot of you, and I don't know if it's just because you finished third or not, but they show a lot of you building relationships with people like out there. And then I was kind of surprised when that final 3 happens and no votes go to you. Cause like they did spend a lot of time showing you building relationships with Lauren and Ron and everybody.
So I know that's what I thought. I mean, look, I didn't go into that final tribal 100% sure I was getting no votes. You're always hopeful. And I really was pretty passionate at that tribal. You didn't see half of it or even 1/10 of it, but I felt like I said a lot of great stuff that wasn't shown. But I do think people's minds were already made up before a lot of people's minds were made up. They had already heard a lot of things about me. Somebody said, like, maybe it was Reem, like every person who got to the edge of extinction, they would tell everything that was going on in the game. So everybody who got there, their perception of me was like, she's lost her mind, she's emotional, she's not being strategic. And that's all everybody heard. So who hadn't even played the game with me forever. So I don't know. It's interesting. I've had a lot of people come up to me after the show, after they've seen the edits and seen the show, and after the finale, and said to me like how much more they respect me now seeing me on the show. Even though you see all the craziness that I did, they still respect me more because they know so much. It's not what they were told by previous contestants, especially people who never even met me in the game, who were voting, so it's like, I mean, there's only one, but okay. So anyway,
there's a vote.
All other people who never met me. That vote still matters, right? Like I went in thinking, oh, maybe I'm going to get Reem's vote because, she's the mom that look, it's telling. She's the mom that gets voted out first because of who she was. I'm the same age and I make it to the end and get 0 votes. Like that's not a great position for either one of us. And I thought, wow, maybe I'll get like Reem's vote. Like she doesn't have any allegiance to Gavin. I had heard she fought the entire time with Chris on the edge of extinction. And I thought, you know what, maybe she'll respect me and think it's pretty cool that like someone like her age made it to the end, survived this whole crazy game, even if it's not my natural thing to like blindside people and be like aggressive and be, whatever, confrontational. No, her opinions were formed of me way before that tribal based on what people told her as they got voted out.
Yeah. So, do you think there was ever a point in the game where you could have made a move that would have helped you regain control? Maybe like, was there ever like a time that you could have pulled something like that?
I mean, it's hard to say. Like, I really thought I was in control at the merge when I won the immunity, and I was like totally like in that 4-person conversation about it's going to be Joe. And I was making like at the feast, you saw me go 0 in on Rick. I knew he was on the outs, going to be on the outs with his tribe. I knew that was somebody I had to get in my corner. Like and I love Rick. He's like one of my closest friends now from the game. And I knew like he was a good person and I wanted to work with him. So I was doing like building the relationships. I got out Joe. Eric happened. I did think I was instrumental, like in the Julia vote, even though everybody laughs at that. And it's like, I thought I was making moves. I just wasn't making the moves that any of these people thought was going to be the right moves. I don't know. And the truth is, listen, it's like a bittersweet thing, like listening to these podcasts that people do now, because I'm hearing their opinions of me. I already know their opinions of me. I got 0 votes. Like, I get it. Like, and there's no regrets. I got to live the adventure of a lifetime. I played all 39 days. That's what I wanted to do. I proved to myself that I could do it. But I'm still feeling like I didn't prove to any of them that I was worthy of making it to the final 3. And that's really hard to hear from people that they thought I had no game. And I think they wrote me off from the very beginning, just based on, it was my personality. I don't know what it was. Just being 46, being a mom, being different. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I do know, if I ever go back, this is my plug. Not that I've been asked. If I ever go back, I would have to play a completely different game. There's no way that the outcome would be any different being who I am. And I don't know how I would reconcile that, but you would see Julie 2.0. That I would go full on
And I feel we've had Troy Zane on the podcast a couple of times, and he's a different situation where the first time he goes out there, he gets voted out because he's so loud and in your face and everything. And the second time he goes out there, he tries to play a more laid back game and he gets 0 votes and gets third place. I feel like when you go the opposite route, when you do get 0 votes, get third place first time, I feel like you would feel like you have really nothing to lose going out there the next time. Because I've made it to the end. Now if I'm going to make it there, I better win.
Right. So I'm so glad you made that comment, because it reminds me what I've been wanting to say. Before the game, Jeff meets with us as a group, the day before the game starts or 2 days before. And he talks to us and he gives us a pep talk and all this stuff, right? And he said something play the game. My advice is play the game like it's your second time. Your second, your third, whatever, your fourth time. Now, going back and looking at it all, I totally get what he meant, because my game was played out of fear. I was in a different position than many of these people. It took me 18 years to get on that show, right? The last thing I wanted to do was get voted out. So I was terrified to take any risk of talking to any one person, because I've seen it on Survivor 1,000 times. You tell one person, well, wait, maybe we should go after this person and not this one. And you get your idea across. That person goes and tells the other person immediately, and you're the one that's gone. I was so terrified of that I kept more quiet than anything else in my opinions, and I never really pushed my agenda. And I played out of fear because I didn't want to disappoint myself. It took 18 years to get there. I didn't want to disappoint my family. I just left them for 7 weeks. If I'm gone, I'm not going home. So I didn't come here to be on vacation for 7 weeks. I came here to be on this game from day 1 to day 39. And that's what I'm going to do. But it's not the way to win Survivor, because I didn't take any risks and I didn't make big enough moves, and the jury doesn't respect that. And I get it.
And do you feel like you were maybe at a little bit of a disadvantage to make big moves because you were in a majority alliance on a tribe that kept winning? And so you never were playing from the bottom where you necessarily had to make a huge move in order to get on top.
Delayed.
And I never actually, clearly, once the merge came, I was never a target. I know everybody talks about Gavin got 0 votes. The only vote I got was Aurora right before she went, on her tribal where she went home. So I got no votes. I get it. Everyone says they wanted to sit with me at the end because they already saw that I was going to be an easy person to beat. So I wasn't ever targeted. Nobody was coming after me. I didn't have to do anything. And that's an easy way to just keep riding the game to the end. And it got too late. It felt like to me, it got too late to do anything about it. Of course I should have. I should have done stuff about it. But 3/4 into the game, my energy was so low. It's hard to function. I get it now. Survivor is 1,000 times harder than I thought it would be. And I prepared. I prepared hard. And I had the mental, the mindset, of what this game was going to take. I didn't think I would care about the lack of food as much as I did. And it was way harder than I thought. And it's hard. Again, I'm 46. I've got kids at home. I'm sorry. I don't want to offend anybody, but I left a huge responsibility at home for 7 weeks. And it's on a different level than people who are younger, single, don't have that kind of responsibility. I've been watching my kids or taking care of them for 13 years when I was on that, 12 years, whatever it was, when I left for that show. That's hard to let go of and to just get yourself in the mindset of the game.
Yeah.
I don't know why I went on that tangent. I feel like that was completely.
No, that was good.
No, that's fair.
I didn't want to stop that. Yeah.
I'm
Right.
Alexa and I both
more thing.
mother and father. So
Yeah. We are 40-year-old parents.
Is this your baby, Phil?
Oh my God.
Did you make a baby for us?
No, I have this. This is part of a family set.
I was going to say, I don't know if Phil and I are ready yet.
I really am going to have to hear the story of you guys, the history of Phil and Alexa. That would be a great title for a book. The history of Phil and Alexa.
We should co-write a book. It's not as exciting as it probably should be, right, Phil?
Really? Yeah. I pretty much saved Alexa's life.
He saved me at a party.
Me. That's essentially what happened.
But like literally saved her life, or like
yeah, I was
creepy guys at Miami parties. I mean, yeah, I saved her life.
So the long and the short of it was, we were at a house party. I didn't know Phil at the time.
Okay.
And there was a guy who I didn't particularly want to be talking to who was talking to me.
Okay.
And I was either too awkward or whatever to pull myself away. And so Phil comes to the rescue and saves me.
Oh, knight in shining.
But the plot twist is that my boyfriend saw that happen, my boyfriend at the time, and hated Phil for saving me from the other creepy guy.
But why wasn't he saving you from the creepy guy?
Because her boyfriend was
the boyfriend and I didn't last that much longer after that.
Yeah, that boyfriend sucks.
We didn't last too much long after that, especially when I said, I want to keep hanging out with this Phil guy. He seems fun. We probably 4 hours after
So Julie, the only thing I'm taking from this entire tell-all is that boyfriend sucks, and I'm putting it like
I hope he listens to us.
Do you think he listens?
He honestly might.
Just because of me, he wants to see what I'm doing.
He might. And then he sees that Phil and I are still hanging out.
Oh.
Yeah. But no, Phil, I hate to say this because I have all the love in the world for Phil, but we are not dating.
Mm-hmm. But I am still a hero. I'm the hero
of
this story. Don't forget that.
He still saved me.
Heroes, healers, hustlers.
Are you dating anybody else? And are you looking?
This took such a
turn. Alexa, I know in New York City.
Dating in New York is quite frustrating. So any help would be much appreciated.
Terrible. We're going to have to go out to lunch. Stories. I lived it for so long, and it fucking sucks.
Julie, I am terminally single. I would love to get lunch with you and have some help.
Okay. Yay.
This is great. Yay. Wow. So final tribal? What do we do now?
Did Alexa and Julie just like plan lunch?
We're not done, but
I think we just planned lunch while live. I have a question.
We're not done. We're not, and we're almost at 2 hours. I'm not done, but I have to pee. So what do I do?
You should go pee. Just
Phil and I are going to talk.
We'll just have a conversation.
And then I have a question.
Hear it?
I don't think so. We didn't hear it the last time.
Keep the AirPods off. I'd put them in the couch. I would not bring them to the bathroom.
Phil wanted me to. Did you see that?
What?
He said we didn't hear it the last time. And
we didn't.
That is true. Did you hear us talking
when you were in my apartment, Phil? I mean, I don't know when there was the last time.
I was actually in your apartment right now.
It was the 15 times before we went live that Julie peed. That's what I was.
Julie, did you hear us talking when you had those on and when you were peeing?
Not when the urine was actually coming out, but when I was walking to the bathroom, I heard you. But I guess the bathroom got far enough with the door shut that I think it was okay.
You know, Julie, this is your podcast. If you want people to hear you pee, then all power to you.
That is not my peer. No, it will last for 2 minutes. Give me I'll see you in 3.
We'll be there. Okay.
Also, this reminds me of anybody ever see The Naked Gun? That's all I can think about right now. If you haven't seen The Naked Gun, go watch The Naked Gun. There's an entire scene where a man just pees and everybody's listening to it on like a microphone. I think it's like a Queen's reception.
Dangerous, similar to what is actually going on right now.
Oh, I know. That's all I can think about right now.
This is Phil. This has been a wild podcast. This has been a blast.
Yeah, not exactly what I was expecting. Not exactly what all of you were expecting from Julie Rosenberg, huh?
No, this is we like this Julie. She's fun. She pees and tells Phil, you being a 40-year-old woman is my favorite.
I know. I'm a 40.
I just love that we're getting wooden toys. I mean, that is the nicest, coolest thing ever.
I know. I thought the one was bald.
It's been one thing. I know. I'm glad she showed your hairline. It's been one thing to become a D- list internet celebrity. This makes it all worth it. This is really fucking cool.
I like it a lot.
Yeah.
Also, I was not expecting Julie to break Aurora's record. Just saying.
No, well, poor Aurora didn't know she was allowed to be.
Yeah.
I haven't broken any records. What time is it?
Oh, you're here. Hi.
No. We're talking about
the F-bomb record.
But you haven't broken it. You haven't broken it. Troyzan has the record over Aurora. Aurora didn't even break Troyzan. So
yeah, his is a different animal.
Well, I have I have a question too, Alexa. I don't know where yours is going.
Mine's a final tribal question, so you probably should go first.
Yeah, mine is related to Julie leaving her family behind, because then we get to the family visit. So I want to talk about that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, gosh, we haven't talked about the family visit.
I know. So we get to the family visit, and this was probably, Julie, and I know you're probably going to hate me for saying that this was like my favorite Julie moment of the season because it's so small, but this was my favorite Julie moment of the season. When your husband comes running out and you ask him if he's okay.
I know.
Oh,
I
so
love
sweet.
that so much because I was like, yeah, that says everything you need to know about Julie. Like,
Oh, that's true. I do worry. I'm a worrier. Okay, yeah. So watching that back, I mean, it's funny because everybody I feel like who watches Survivor, if you do, you're like, what's wrong with these people? It's been 30 days. Like, why are they acting like it's been 30 years? Like, it doesn't make sense. It truly is that emotional. I think for everybody who goes through it, you've gone through so much in those 30 days. And I left before those 30 days. Like there was almost a week, right? So it wasn't really 30 days. It was like 37 days since I had even had any contact with them. I've never left my kids for more than probably 2 days, right? In 12 years. So it just was a lot. But looking back now, when I watch us and we see the reunion, and everybody was like asking me before that day, we were assuming loved ones is coming. They're like, are you going to cry? Or is Mark going to cry? I'm like, oh my God, like Mark is a bigger crier than I am. Nobody believes this about me. I don't cry at home ever. He cries over happy things, sad things, whatever. He's so emotional. I'm like a stone wall. Okay. Like it's like, what's wrong with you? Because I'm just not that emotional at home, like in relationships and anything. And I was like, oh, he's going to cry way more than I am. So watching it back when we saw and I'm like, what is wrong with us? Like everyone's crying, but if like every screenshot I have of us, it looks like we're at a funeral. Like it looks like we're unhappy and like crying. And like that's just, I guess, who we are. We've never cried like that as a couple together, ever. Like he cried at our wedding. I was like, man up. Like what are you doing? Like stop crying. Like
I believe the term is sack up, actually.
Yes, Eric,
say to Eric.
Say that. Yes, Eric said sack up. And I wrote something to Eric, but I don't know. Is it like SAC sack up or
SACC? You actually do 2 C's.
2 C's? Oh, but it's like looks like that.
So I think you can do SAC.
Alexa, get your head out of your ass. You don't know with the word sack. That makes sense.
I am sitting out of this conversation. Julie, rip Alexa apart right now.
Alexa, you're saying sack up, or Eric's saying sack up, and it's 2 C's. That's like sack up, like ball sack, like 2 C's.
It very well might be.
That's how I took it.
No, so it's pretty much just like to make it more exaggerated. So SACK is the proper spelling. Okay. I have never explained this before out loud, so please. So if you add that, it's like
if you Googled, if you looked in like Merriam-Webster dictionary online and you wanted like sack up.
I'm going to screen this for you real quick.
Is it like SACK or is it SAC? Because it's definitely not SACC.
It's definitely SACK. Definitely.
It's CK, but then to put emphasis on
CK. And I'm totally serious about this. And my daughter, she's still listening. I hope not. But like ball sack, is that in the dictionary? And is that a C or a K?
I believe those are 2. Stand by. You guys talk.
But that is what it means, Phil, right?
I believe it is actually 2 separate words, and it's not a. Actually, it's taking me to an Etsy link.
Nice shop. Wait, where are the balls? I've got wooden balls for you, Phil. I do have wooden balls.
Oh my God!
I don't have them on this table. They're the bowling balls. They go with the pins.
Phil. I am sobbing.
I'm sure, Julie.
But there are wooden balls, and that would be a perfect opportunity to show them. But I didn't bring them out.
This is off the rails.
What I love about this is based on a question of me saying family visit. And it's like, so how do we get to sack?
So let's go back to,
I don't know. Man up, Mark.
Man up. This is man up. Yeah, let's go back to man up. Let's go back to that.
Yeah. So we cried our eyes out. I did. I asked him if he was okay. I knew he was okay. I wanted to make sure, are you okay with the kids? Like, how are you managing? Because I felt very guilty about leaving for 7, like it was a total of 7 weeks I was gone. And like to do that, like you have to need a lot of support at home. Like for someone to say, sure, go off and, disappear for 7 weeks with no contact. So it really was me like, are you okay that I've left you? I knew he was physically okay. I knew there were no emergencies. I would have been called, I'm sure. But like, are you okay that I did this? That's kind of, I think, more what it was. And there was like a lot of other family stuff going on that he was dealing with that I wasn't around for. And I knew leaving that there was stuff that could be happening. So that was hard too. So I did like mean it like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's always really cool. Like 49 days. I think a lot of people forget when you don't see a family member for 30 days. It's like, okay, I didn't see the family member for 30 days, but you're probably texting them, calling them in some sort of communication. You would know if anything had happened.
Right. Yes, there would be communication. And even if there's not, you're not sleeping in the dirt every night and starving to death. Like, so your mind isn't all there by day 30. There's no way my mind was at full capacity anymore.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yes. So I always
you didn't have to say that, but okay.
I meant to the first part. You got another line in there before I could say, as we know. That's okay. That's not on me. Okay. But no, I always am like one who's like defends like the family business, because I just feel like you can't like see like why, like this is like an emotional thing that most people don't do in their normal everyday life. So like I could see why like 30 days in, you're like, damn, like, yeah, I'm gonna cry and like this is gonna be an emotional moment. Like it's not 30 days. Like I just got off a plane because I was, on vacation.
No, you're mentally and physically fatigued, drained, and you have, like I said, I think I said in a confessional, like I have no support. Like I've never been in a position like that where I've left. I get home when you have so many I have so many friends and family that I can rely on, and I'm so grateful for it now because I've never been in that position where you feel like you have nobody at that point. And that's kind of what it felt a lot of the time for me.
Yeah, and then you're running up and then you were running up the beach hyperventilating, which I think we all thought you were crying.
Yeah, I know. They didn't even show the part. Like, so that beach was a hill for me. I don't know how much of a hill it really was because I can't remember for sure, but like it was a hill. And the second time I started going up it, I had no breath left. And I was laughing and Mark saw me. And that's when Jeff was like, we don't know if Julie's laughing or crying, hyperventilating, Jeff. And what you didn't see was another time when I went down the hill and I went to get the water, I fell right over into the ocean. And I'm just laying in the water on my side because I had no balance. I had no nothing. And I could hear Mark cracking up. And there was nothing I could do but laugh at that moment because I knew like there's no way we're winning this challenge. Ended up being probably the best thing for us because I got taken on it and didn't have to choose people.
And it was like you and Rick both had really great moments there because Rick's was like he's talking to his wife and he's just like, all right, how's it going? Like we're not gonna
do this.
No. And I've even heard, I think Rick did not want to win it. I'm pretty sure that Rick did not want to be the person to win it and that they purposely did not try and win that challenge. I would bet on that.
I think, like Phil said, you were in the best scenario because winning it is such a dangerous position to be in. But you had the opportunity.
I won it and was able to go. I mean, I didn't win it and I was able to go on the challenge. It was amazing. Oh my God. When I saw Ron's husband's flag go up, Ron was headed back down to the water. So he didn't see that he had just won. And I saw it because I was coming up and we were kind of passing each other. And I see the flag. I'm like, Ron, you won. I was so excited because I was pretty sure that I felt like he was going to take me. We had discussed it on day 7. We started, kind of talking about it a little bit. And I was hugging Ron before he even ran up to hug Lloyd. So I was praying that he was going to hold true to his word because we had promised each other we would take each other.
We got so we posted on Instagram, that we were going to talk to you, and we posted an Ask Julie a Question thread, and three questions in a row from someone who said, who is your favorite wife of a castaway? How much does Becca Devins mean to you? And if you could pick a loved one to form an alliance with, who would it be? And I don't know who made these comments, but I think they might be worth answering.
Oh my God, I love it. Okay, so Becca means the world to me. I mean, she honestly does. All right, here's the deal. So Becca went on the loved ones visit, obviously, and she met Mark on that visit, and I was very close with Rick in the game. And after the game, we all kept in touch, right? And we have a very cool text message chat, like a group chat of me and Mark, Rick and Becca, and Gavin and Carly, because Carly was also on that visit and she was very close to Becca. And obviously I made it, to the end with Gavin. So we spent, the end of the game together. And the 6 of us have a group chat. I think Becca nicknamed it the coolest couples chat, the coolest couples text message. And we probably text on a daily basis, like 15 times a day. Not every day, but I just said daily. So, okay, every other day. We've been that close since the end of the game, and they actually all came and stayed at our apartment at some point in the fall, even though we weren't supposed to be together, but nobody knows who we are, and people happened to visit New York and ended up sleeping at our apartment. So, spending that weekend together, we all went to Chris's wedding together also in before the finale, which we got approval for CBS. So I am very close to Becca, but Becca and Carly, I'd have to say, I can't leave Carly out of it. So Becca, you and Carly are my favorite spouses, and I would definitely work with you guys if there was ever a blood versus water challenge season that we were all on, for sure. Like,
I feel personally hurt that you did not pick Lloyd. I know that this was a setup question, but
Lloyd is the answer.
Lloyd owns my heart,
I'm sorry. I love Lloyd too, but I have not seen Lloyd really the entire year since we left the show, and I just don't text with Lloyd. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
I mean, when I had that transvaginal ultrasound and the person recognized me during it, Becca was my go-to person. I don't know if you know what she does for a living either, but I'm just going to leave it at that. And we have a lot to talk about. I don't think Lloyd can talk to me on that level. So
is this
that's fair.
Something that happened?
What?
We'll move on. Were you recognized in a situation like that?
The first time that I got recognized for being on Survivor, and it was pretty far into the season, which was disheartening. But I don't know. If I lived in a small town, I'd like to think that I get recognized more, but I live in New York City.
In New York,
people either don't watch, they don't give a shit, and they're not paying attention.
You're probably in there. You're probably walking too slow. You're probably in their way.
No. I'm a fast walker, and I don't leave my apartment. I don't leave my apartment. So basically, the first time I got recognized, okay, I am totally fine and healthy. I think I made a post about this. That was funny. I did have like a small cyst, right, that needed to be checked out by a transvaginal ultrasound. Phil, you know what that's like, right?
It's like uncomfortable, but
it was like my own personal wand off, if anybody knows what the So basically, during that ultrasound, I walk in and I get the cyst is benign and fine. There's no issues there, but I was getting it checked out. And right after that wand comes out, I'm still on the table, wet from goop and covered and cold. She said, now that that's over, can I ask you something? And I was like, oh God, like what did she just see at my vagina? And I was like, yeah. And she's like, are you on Survivor right now?
Oh my God.
Survivor. And I'm like, yes. And I was so excited. I was like, oh my God, I finally got recognized. I like sat up half naked and I'm like, talk to me. Like, yeah. And she was like, I wasn't sure when you first came in the room. I thought I recognized you, but I didn't know. Maybe you're a previous person I've done this for.
Oh my God.
And she's like, and you started talking during the ultrasound and I recognized your voice. And I'm like, oh, she's from Survivor. That was the first time I was recognized.
I was going to say, I can't believe because they
said something.
Phil, you've been through this. You understand, but they try to make small talk while that stuff is going down to try to make you feel more comfortable. I'm surprised she didn't have that in the middle of the.
I think she was worried. She was trying to respect me and just she didn't want to. She didn't know if she was 100% right that it was me.
Oh, that would have been worse if.
Imagine being wrong.
Oh my God.
Imagine being wrong. Right. And when I got home and I told Mark, he's like, "Great." She's like, "You get recognized from your vagina for being on national TV."
I'm sure he loved that one.
That's what happened. And I think I tweeted it or I posted it. And I was like, I'm pretty sure I'm the only person in the world that can say this, that I got recognized for being on Survivor during that. Mm-hmm. No one else has ever been able to say that.
Unbelievable.
That's a record.
This podcast is.
Did you immediately call Jeff and say, I have a Survivor first for you? Because that probably would have gotten him all pumped up.
I wish I did, but I just didn't have him on my, in my speed dial at the moment. We talk every day, but, for some reason.
He's in the group.
Yeah. You could have had.
He's in the group chat.
Could have asked you that at the finale.
Oh, yes, he could have. But
that would have been great for the reunion. That would have been amazing.
People would have loved it.
Live TV. Could you imagine, like, the question Jeff asked me, I think was like, you set out, you'd seem like, I don't know what he asked me. And if I just like launched into that story, yeah.
There's no stopping.
No,
You can't stop. It's live television.
No, I wish I did it. No.
Julie,
wow.
next time.
What could have been on Blood versus Water?
This is just as many viewers, I'm sure, as this,
This is currently, we have a 200 watching live, and by the time you wake up tomorrow, there will probably be about 3,000 who will have heard this.
Ah, that's exciting.
Wow. It is very exciting.
Yeah.
3,000 people who just heard that story. So.
But now they can appreciate it when they get their ultrasounds. They'll know what it's like.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
It's a hair.
I'm trying to think.
I don't even know.
So we did final 7. We kind of skipped over final 8, which I guess was where this is what I was talking about with the relationships. Like this was the reward you win, right? That was a final 8 where War Dog, you, Lauren, and Rick go. Or was that 9?
Oh, was that? Yeah. Okay. Was that 8? I know War Dog knows every day, every number of what happens in the game when I can't keep track of it. So
yeah, I actually just was watching.
It had to be 8 because it was 4 and 4. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, so the 4 of you went on that mud reward.
Yes, we went on the mud reward. I don't know if you saw it. I did nothing in the challenge. Not my fault. I tried to help, but it had to be 2 designated swimmers and 2 people on the platform for the throwing of the rings. The 2 designated swimmers were Lauren and War Dog, and then Rick and I were on the platform. Rick was the first one to start tossing, and he was doing so well that it didn't make sense to swap, right? Like everybody wants to eat. We're not going to swap just for me to be able to do something. I was talking to Lauren and War Dog in the water. Lauren was treading and hyperventilating in that water every time she had to retrieve a ring. And she said later, she was like, you were so helpful to me because like I was trying to calm her down. I'm like, you're okay. You're okay. Like she was like, and like I was like, you're okay. Just deep breaths. And then she would try and throw the ring back, and I would lean over to get it and to give it back to Rick. And Jeff was like, get the fuck back on your mat. And I'm like, oh my God. And he was like, there's one thrower at a time. And I'm like, I can't even retrieve for these people? No. So, and the same thing happened to Victoria. If you see the other tribe in the challenge, Victoria is standing on the mat. We are not allowed to touch anything. So I'm like, I look like the total loser right now. I'm finally in a challenge and I can't even touch anything. So we win the challenge. We go on the mud bath reward. It was really fun. Really cool. And I already had built a big relationship with Lauren. That's not the beginning of our relationship. A lot of my stuff never was shown about my relationship building. And I kind of wish that stuff was shown. But Lauren and I basically had a friendship. We talked a lot about our personal lives. She's 21. I can be her mom. I called her like my older Zoe, like, because Zoe is, she was 11 at the time. And I was like, as if Lauren was that older version of her. So we really bonded over stuff. And we sat there in that hot spring while they went. We were like, yeah, you guys go take the shower first. And we totally talked about, which one of them should go first, which one of them should go next, and what are we going to do? And, yeah, we had a really good relationship.
Who did you land on there? Because I know War Dog ends up going home, but did you guys land on Rick? Were you trying to get Rick out before War Dog or no?
It's hard. I was pushing War Dog because Kelly, right, had just gone home. Before that, and I'm like, I can't trust this motherfucker. Like, he is all over the place, and he's the least, sorry, War Dog, but he is the least trustworthy person to me in this game. Any conversation I had with him, he was talking to me. It was never really a back and forth. He was just telling me what his opinion was, and I was like, I didn't even want to be in an alliance with him after Julia got voted out. Like, I know a lot of people are like, how did that end up happening? Where like that new alliance formed after the Julia vote out. I felt a little forced into it, but I knew like, this is not somebody I can work with. So the minute I could get him out, I wanted to get him out. And I do feel like I pushed my agenda in various conversations I had with different people in the game. Rick, everyone still was so focused on Rick. I can't remember now if it was about Rick first, War Dog plan B, or let's just get out War Dog. I can't remember even the votes right now of how it turned out. But I remember
it was 6-2.
Oh, so then it was War Dog.
Yeah, War Dog went next. Yeah.
So who didn't know that was happening? I feel like
was it Aurora or Lauren? No, Lauren voted the right way.
Lauren and I definitely.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it wasn't
Rick and
6-2. Oh, it was Rick and War Dog who didn't vote. Yeah, Rick also voted for somebody else, and then War Dog also. So it was 6-2. Okay.
So then it was War Dog all the way, and like I definitely, that was a vote that I do feel like I played a role in. Like, everyone likes to claim that every vote was their, they were the lead in that vote. But like, I talked to many people about Gavin wanted him gone, Lauren and I, Lauren, I could see why she was somewhat wanting to keep him around. I guess it was she was out of her main alliance at that point with him gone. There was no one left with her. But I pushed it hard.
Yeah. And then so War Dog goes home. 7, it's Ron's blind side.
Yeah.
And so at that point, like when War Dog goes home, who are you trying to get the final 3 with? I know everybody has claimed that they were trying to go to final 3 with you, but who were you trying to go to the final 3 with?
I mean, at that point, Ron and I were really pretty connected, right? And I did. Yeah, it's funny. I think I even said to him at some point in the game, like we knew we were each other's person, but I was like, I don't necessarily want to sit next to you in the finals. Like, I didn't think I could beat Ron, but like, that's not what you want to say to the person. Like, and I kind of slipped because I was trying to be funny. And I think he took a little note of that and was like, oh, like I got to watch her. But in my mind, Ron was my partner. Would I have had to take him out eventually? Yeah, I don't think I would have wanted to sit next to Ron in the very end. And I think at that point, there's no way any of us knew we could beat Rick. There was no beating him. I believe if Rick went to the final 3, he would have gotten every single vote for sure. He played an amazing game. Everybody saw that. Everybody saw how the jury was reacting to him. I almost sometimes think they did him a service because they were cheering him on so much that it solidified for us, like he has got to go. Nobody can beat him. So obviously, I think it would have been Lauren. I do think I had a good relationship with her and I trusted her the most. And I thought, I thought she's someone I could possibly beat at the end. I didn't know what everybody on the Edge of Extinction thought of her. And I knew that I had like friends on Kama and some people maybe Lauren wasn't so close to. So I thought I had a chance with Lauren. And it was honestly when Chris came back in the game, it was Lauren and Chris that I wanted to go to the end with. I know everybody's like, how did these people not see that Chris should have been voted out? None of us thought that he was going to be a threat. In terms of he was voted out 3rd on day 8.
Yeah.
We thought there's no way this guy's winning the game. Like, what could he possibly be doing in these 4 days to warrant winning the game? He played an amazing game in those 4 days. Like, I'm not taking the win away from Chris. I'm just saying the mindset of when we were there was like, when I saw Chris win, I'm like, this is perfect. Like, great person to go to the end with because he was voted out on day 3. I don't even know who this guy is. And no one else does. Like, is what I thought. That obviously was not what happened. So I would say that Lauren and Chris were the people I wanted to go to the end.
Yeah. And I get that. I mean, it seems like everybody said the same thing who was still in the game about Chris. Cause it's like, well, like who would have thought? And I think in the future, like, whoever comes back there is getting voted out immediately. But
yes.
So Victoria goes home at 6 because Rick plays the idol. Lauren plays her for Chris, and Victoria goes home.
Right.
Final 5.
We're able to just say that like so evenly about Victoria, and I didn't even see any tears in your eyes.
Did you notice that this is the first time I've said her name this entire
11
podcast?
It is weird. 2 hours and 7 minutes in.
You look like you're a little choked up.
I am a little choked. I mean, somebody tweeted at us it was like, this is how I feel during this entire podcast right now. I love it so much. Yeah. And it's the Victoria doing like the hands over her face and like after she hears her name said. And like, it's hard for me to see things like that. Cause like, I know we're like a month later, but I still feel like Victoria won the season, right? Like, I mean, that happened. Am I making things up?
No, it's definitely not what happened, Phil. Definitely not what happened.
I've been living in an alternate reality. I'm telling you. I think I said this to Lauren.
More than exposure therapy for your phobia.
Yeah.
I need some more
time. I want to look into that. I think you might want to. Are you going to have Victoria on the podcast, Phil?
I think we might.
.. I think we might.
I think we might. I don't know how that's
Phil is
go
mentally
for the 2 hours,
and physically and emotionally and spiritually preparing for it.
Yeah. Exactly.
It takes time. I get that.
I had said to Lauren that at the finale, when Final 6 happened, Victoria goes home and Lauren plays her idol, you would have thought that I was related to both of them. Because like everybody in the finale is cheering and I'm just like, no. Like, no.
Yeah.
Like there goes my winner pick and the girl who's going to win the season. What just happened?
Yeah. Well, the first step is admitting,
I'm not going to. I mean, I do love that your entire cast has just been like, hey, Phil, Victoria didn't win.
Like, I've been listening.
Oh, I know.
Listening. We know.
I know.
Yeah.
We love that you've been listening.
I was trying to get past it as fast as possible and just pretend that it was over, but Julie
had
to make me
something
draw
happened
on
in the final 6, and we're not sure what. But then we get to the final 5.
Yes.
Are we allowed to go to final 5, Julie, or do you want to?
We allowed to? Is this an okay topic?
Final 5. Yes.
Okay.
We are allowed to go to final 5.
Final 5, we have probably one of the most ridiculous.
Go back.
Final 6.
Nope. Go back. Yep. 6. Final 6.
6. Okay, we're back.
Couple things.
Okay.
Is that when I won the immunity challenge?
Oh, yes.
Rory told us to ask you about this.
Yeah, Rory had a couple things that you wanted us to ask you about, but
this was one of them.
You win the individual immunity.
I know that Chris and everybody says he helped me win. He did not.
I think you won that.
There was no way he was helping me. What he helped with, and he might have thrown the challenge and decided, right, that he wasn't going to try and win this challenge because he knew he needed to survive a tribal and do something to warrant winning the $1 million. So he didn't need to win the challenge. But when I was doing that puzzle, I was so far ahead, like at one point, of everybody else. And Chris finally is at his puzzle. I mean, he's got 3 pieces in. He knows he's making up. There's no way he can make up time at this point, right? He's not, whether he wanted to throw the challenge or not, he's not winning this challenge, period. And I had 1 piece that was I built my puzzle around the edges and I had 1 hole left. And I'd say I tried to jam that piece in for at least 10 minutes and it wouldn't fit because everything wasn't so flush that it couldn't get in. And every time I tried to shove it in, everything else looked like it was wobble. So Chris, was standing there saying to me, watch the top, because if your puzzle fell, you have to start all over. And that's how he helped me. He was trying to help me stay calm as I'm like, I know. I could see every part of the puzzle that was shaking as I'm jamming this piece in. So I would put my hand behind the back, try and hold it firm. Finally, I could not get that piece in. And I mean, everybody saw what was happening. I had to take out pieces and get that piece in and then rebuild around it. And then I could keep it flush. And I won the challenge. He didn't help me solve that puzzle. There was nothing besides watch out. It looks like it's going to fall. And that's what he did. So there's that. I'd like to clear that up. And yes, you look like
I was just going to say, this is a note to everybody, build the puzzle out. Don't just build the outside because I saw what you were trying to do. It makes sense because when you do a puzzle, you do I
did the edges and I that was the way visually I could see it in my mind. I'm like, okay, I could easily see each next piece that needed to go and what it needed to fit into, and I could just find it. And that's how I did it. I didn't even know there was a design on that puzzle. Like now looking back at it, I see this white picture of this phoenix or something. I didn't do it based on the design. I did it based on the shapes of the pieces. So it just somehow went around and up and then started coming in down, and then I ended up in the middle with that big hole, and that was a real problem for me.
And this goes to another one of those where you're talking about certain things are because of your height, but not everything. And this is a puzzle that's a huge puzzle. You're reaching up.
Hug it.
It's a lot harder to be containing pieces that are about to fall when you're Julie than if you're Chris, who can wrap his entire body around the entire thing.
Huge. The guy is huge, right? But here's the way I built it. It was my own fault for building it that way, for sure. And talk about height problems, like the challenge where the ropes where I keep falling and I could just never catch the ball. It was so much higher on me, like what I had to step over to get through. And every time I just kept tripping on them because I just couldn't get myself each step high enough over those ropes. So
that was. I don't want to be mean, but that was a really funny part.
I loved it. Oh no, I was you didn't even, I wish they showed, I fell 50 times. They showed 2 or 3. I fell 50 times. And most of the time it was on the third to last rope. And my face would just go face down into the dirt. I had mud on my face, in my teeth. And every time, I just couldn't get out of the end of that course without, with catching the ball. I never got the ball. I was lost in that part of the challenge. And then you'd see the ball rolling away, 50 feet behind me in the bushes. I'd pee for a second. I'd come back. So I was terrible. That challenge I was pure terrible at it.
One of my favorite things too is that they kept like every time you'd fall, you'd make like a noise where it's like, ah,
Yeah,
they just played it over.
I know. I did make a noise every time I fell. And I know Aurora said, right, I fell everywhere all the time. Gavin said to me, like on the last day when we were there on day 39, he's like, I hope like at some point there's a montage of you and it will be 50 minutes long of every fall and every scream that you do. Like there was one time I was walking to go off to do a confessional and I'm just walking down the trail and I tripped on a root and I just went face down. I was like, oh, like that. And then like everyone's like, you okay? I'm like, good.
I'm great.
Pop back up. Yeah. A lot of falls.
Well,
Oh, and I don't know if anyone told you about the poisonous fire coral that I fell into.
Oh, that was one of the things Aurora wanted us to bring up. Please.
Ron also said, please bring this up.
Oh, really? Okay. So now we're like going so far back. But day 15, tribe swap has happened, right? We're comma 2.0. Joe is going to go fishing. And I hadn't gone out yet, all the way out past the reef, like, or to the reef to like watch or to try. But I'm like, okay, Joe's going fishing. Like, I want to go out there. We're all walking out. I'm in tennis shoes because like the water's only like this high until you get to the edge where you jump off and then you're swimming. And that's where people try and fish. And I think I was putting like the snorkel mask on and I had my tennis shoes on because there's all this coral. And the one thing they told us was like, don't fall in fire, like poisonous fire coral. Like it's just don't go there. And right as I was about to step off to jump into the deeper water, I fell backwards and like landed my right thigh in a thing of coral this big. I stand up and there's 100 holes and they're pouring blood just coming out of my leg. And I'm like, and it killed. I mean, the burning sensation. And Ron's screaming, Julie, be careful. You have to go back. It's like 100 feet back to the beach. And I was like, I'm not going back, Ron. I'm like, the best thing for me is to be in salt water right now. And I'm splashing salt water because I'm like bleeding out on the sand. There's no bandages here. There's no doctor here. Like, I'm staying in the water. I wasn't thinking about the sharks in the water. He was thinking about the sharks. Like, there were these like
Glad someone was
little sharks that like they said they were harmless, but like I was like, oh, right, I'm bleeding out my body right now. And not that part of the body, Phil, because you know I was on the birth control pill. But other part, the 50, 100 holes. No, okay, it wasn't 100, 50 holes in my legs. Anyway, so I'm like, I'm staying in the water. And so Ron then falls, and like he's like, I'm going back. He goes back. I watched Joe fish for like 20 minutes. I don't think he caught anything, but I'm watching. The water's making it feel better. I get back to camp, and no one's there to tell me there's nothing I can do. And I have all these holes in my leg. And I would tell you that Dr. Joe looked at it at the next challenge and he's like, it's red, it's hot. He's like, I think it's just inflamed. And like another challenge day happens and I'm like a week in now. And I'm like, I have like a swollen like lump in the side of my leg. And he's like, oh, that's like a swollen lymph node. You're probably got an infection now. I'm like, thanks, Phil. Thanks. No, not Phil. Joe.
It's my fault again.
It's your fault.
Thanks a lot, Phil.
Dr. Joe. And he's like, so they put me on penicillin, which like you don't see, but people can go on certain things. Like I didn't have to be pulled from the game. I go on penicillin, and a week later, there's still like many challenges when you see after I fall out or I drop out, I'm sitting on the bench, I'm scratching my leg like this. Well, you can't see, but like this. There's like, you can see the holes and it's constant itching and there's a hard lump. And then another week goes by, 2 weeks now, and I'm like, Dr. Joe, I'm like, there's something in there. He's like, it's just inflamed. I'm like, no, there's something hard in there. Get in there now, like dig in. And he's like, this is gonna hurt. I'm like, do it. And he took a needle like this big and I like, bent over the table and he dug in to this hole and out popped a fucking piece of fire coral 2 inches long.
Oh my God.
I'm like, it's been sitting in my leg for 2 weeks. And the leg has never been the same. Just gonna say that.
Really?
Oh my God.
I still love Dr. Joe. It's not his fault. The leg has very weird appearance to it in that area. So no.
That I can't believe that was lodged
in there deep. And he just dug in with the needle into this hole. And was like, shh. Yep.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was painful. All right. So that's the fire coral story. Moving on.
That is a great story. Julie, before we were live, you were fearful of not being able to tell a good story. You have told some wild stories.
That's nice.
Those have been incredible.
I'm not good. I don't like the interviewing thing, like usually, but I guess this is, you guys make me feel very comfortable.
We're just having a conversation, you know?
We're just three friends chit-chatting.
back and chit chat. Yep.
Chit chat. I mean, I'm scared to go back. I'm scared to go back earlier in the game because I'm scared if we go to final 6, you're gonna be like, oh, who got voted out of final 6? But
I won't.
okay.
I won't.
Should we go to? Can we go to final 5, or was there one other thing?
Well, at the final 6, actually, because I listened to Victoria's other podcast. I don't know if that's probably bad for me to keep saying. You guys probably don't like that.
It's totally fine.
It's
It doesn't.
perfectly
It
fine.
really doesn't. But trust me, we all know that he exists. Like,
He who should not be named.
no, he could be named. It's fine.
Okay.
But we're not going to say it. It's up to you, Joe.
No, I'm not going to say it. But anyway, Victoria seems like she's confused about how she got voted out and who was voting for her, because what she thought the plan was. And she was saying that for sure, like, that Lauren and I thought that it was, or who? Me and Lauren thought it was going to be somebody else. Never. The plan was always Victoria. Maybe like Rick was number 1 if he didn't win immunity or have an idol, but Victoria was the vote out. And for some reason, she seems to think that Lauren and I were not in on that, and that we were told like it was going to be that we were voting for somebody else, or not the case ever. Ever was that the case. Like, it was like we knew how strategic Victoria was, and like that she was definitely a threat to win this game. And I thought she was way bigger threat than Chris. Like, so I wanted Victoria gone and Chris to stay. And that was for sure. Lauren and I were on the same page as that.
So,
That's all.
are you saying that Victoria getting to final 3, she wins? I know Devins beats her, but everybody else?
Oh,
Julie?
Let him have this. Let him have this.
Julie,
Please.
Victoria's not getting to final 3, Phil. I can't even. It's like an impossible world you're living in, so I can't even
I
address
know.
it. It didn't happen.
I know.
Can't address it. Sorry.
He sounds so sad.
Final 5. Well, no, this is good. We can go from this to something that made me very happy, which was Julie finding a fake idol.
Oh my God.
It is.
That was the best. That was literally did you see me jump in Lauren's arms? Like, and
You
she's
were
like,
so excited.
so I don't know if you've heard anything about this, but like, we were obviously looking for idols. Rick had found one in front of my face earlier, I think that day, or maybe it was the day before, but earlier that day when he found his. I was we were always trailing him, like, or trying to keep track of him. And I was looking for my own idol, and up comes Rick and Chris somewhat behind him. And it was dawning on me they were working together. Chris tried to pretend and act like he wasn't with Rick, but he was. Mm-hmm. And I meet up with them on the trail. I'm like, oh, fancy meeting you guys here. Like, what are you doing? And like, so we all were looking for an idol. So I got in front of Rick because I was like, I'm going to find whatever he's getting to. I'm going to get there first. I'm just not going to let him be in front of me. And I literally walk past the spot where he finds it, and he reaches over and puts his hand like around the log and pulls it out. And I was like, oh, well, this is fortunate. And I look at Chris and I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? I mean, I love Rick, but I was so angry. It was like right in front of my face, but I didn't know to reach around. I hadn't found an idol yet in this season. He found like 50 of them. And he gets the idol. I didn't see him open it, so I couldn't have said for sure it was 100% the idol. Lauren and I are all depressed. She's like, I can't believe I gave away my idol the night before. Like, I'm screwed. And I said to her, like, Lauren, like, don't lose hope. Like, let's keep looking. There's got to be another idol here. And she went off. That's when I found mine, which was in the real spot that Rick had found another one of his one. So I always say I did find the idol in a good spot. But yeah. And it never dawned on me that it was fake. And I cannot explain why. I saw what Rick's had looked like, and they were like these crappy looking things now. They make the real idols look like fake ones, or the ones that people used to try and make. So I just thought I never dawned on me. I went screaming, running to Lauren, and then I was like, oh my God, like the whole camp just heard me. Rick and Chris did hear me and started laughing at the campfire. They told me later that they had heard me. And I tried to cover it up when I got back. I'm like, oh my God, did you guys hear that scream? I like stuck my hand in a hole and 50 lizards came out and crawled on me.
The fire coral bit me.
Yeah, I was a little phobic of all the lizards and the things. Like, there's one scene on Kama where I like scream when like a butterfly flew by because I didn't know what it was. But like, they didn't buy that story. They obviously knew I found the idol. I do a confessional, and you see me holding it up. Like, I checked something out, like the last thing off my Survivor bucket list. And I said, I was like, this looks like the biggest piece of chrome crap, but it's my idol. And that just didn't dawn on me. I don't know. I think it was just me being hopeful, even though I still didn't even think I needed it, but
I mean, at that point too, it's like, if you have it, why are you not going to just be like, here you go, Jeff? Like, I mean,
like, I just never thought it was fake. Right. I wish I would have like been like, okay, this is probably not real, but I'm just going to play it anyway. But looking back, it didn't hit me until after the season was over when we were home. And I realized like that whole tribal was so crazy because I played the fake one, right? Lauren plays her fake one. Rick had immunity, played his idol for Gavin, and Chris had the half idol, right? If Lauren hadn't played her idol, the tribal before, she would have played it at the final 5. I would have been the only one that was not protected, and I would have gone home even if I didn't get any votes. So I'm looking back, realizing like, thank God Lauren played that idol and made that mistake, because that's what kept me in the game at the next tribal council without anyone really realizing it.
Wow. Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Unless Rick wouldn't have played it for Gavin, maybe he would have played it for me, but
maybe because at that point, it felt, at least what we've heard, is people would rather sit next to you. So if that's the case, he's probably giving it to you.
And Gavin wouldn't have made it. Yeah.
Yeah, he gives it to Gavin that night because he's not worried about, like, he knows Lauren's going home.
Right. So maybe he would have given it to me, and I would have been in the final 3 no matter what. Who knows?
Yeah, hey, that's not a bad place to be, right?
That's not bad.
Not a bad place to be.
My biggest question about the end game here, because this is something, and it might have been cleared up already, but I just want to hear like what was going through your head, or like how this was done.
Okay.
Chris wins Final 4 immunity. Okay.
Yeah.
You and
I was so close to.
You were.
Well, they didn't even show, but the first 2 minutes of that challenge, I had my block stacked, and I was like coming with like, I guess it was the last or the second to last one. And like, I mean, I was thinking, oh my God, Jeff is like shitting his pants right now because I'm about to win this challenge. That's supposed to be some big challenge for the final 4, and I'm gonna win this in the first 2 minutes. None of them could get the blocks figured out and how to keep them stacked. I had my whole thing almost stacked, and then it fell, and I could never recover. It was like somehow I couldn't figure it out again after that to keep it steady. So, okay, Chris wins.
Chris wins. Wait, hang on. It's interesting with that challenge because it's so hard to tell who's close because everybody keeps falling. So,
right.
But that's a cool tidbit. I like that.
Rewatch it. You'll see.
I will.
I got like what did it spell? Final 3?
I think, yeah, that's what it was.
Final 3. Yeah, I had like going up, like, so I had the L, the N, right? The A, yeah, whatever. Okay.
So Chris wins.
Yes.
And now it's the decision of who's going to make fire against Rick. Who's he going to take with him?
Yeah.
Why is it that once Chris gives up immunity, he still got to decide who made fire?
Right. So I think one of the producers, Matt, has done an interview on this since it's on some online maybe it's Entertainment Weekly.
I think so. Yeah.
Everybody's asked this, and when I knew Chris was going to do that, he didn't tell me, "Oh, I'm doing this." He made it like, I haven't made up my mind what I'm doing, so you better all practice making fire. So of course I practiced making fire all day, and I was doing it alone. The chickens walked by as I was doing it alone, and I'm like, oh my God, they're mocking me. Like they're, and I'm like, so, and then Gavin and I started practicing together and helping each other. I mean, come on. Everybody knew nobody wanted Rick to sit at the final 3. So who's going to be the best person to try and beat out Rick? There was no way Chris was going to leave that up to me. Like, I'm just sorry. I just knew he wasn't. I had heard he could make fire in 4 seconds. He practiced like all the time on Edge of Extinction. He practiced I practiced too before I left for the game. That was another thing. I bought flint and a little machete, and I practiced all the time for the month. And I can make fire. And I was making it that day. And Chris was helping us out and giving us little tips, me and Gavin. But it was his way of practicing too. And I knew, I'm like, he's doing this. Like, he's totally doing this. And when he sat there and gave it to me, I wish I really had said something. I wouldn't have been able to change anything, but I wish I had won that challenge, so he wouldn't have been able to make that big move, right? That would have at least taken that away from him. But I think that I wish I didn't look so happy to get the necklace, like, because it just makes it even look more like I'm not deserving. I'm just given the spot. And I would have liked to earn my spot in the final 3. And I've said in interviews afterwards, like on the red carpet after the finale, like, I just like wanted to take that necklace and like chuck it in the fire and be like, no, I'm not taking this. Or like, been like, no, here, take it back. Like, you can give it to Gavin. But I'm also so terrified of what Jeff is going to do and react to, like, of things we do in the game. Like, I was like, oh, Jeff's going to get so mad at me, and he's going to be like, stop. Like, you're not allowed to do that.
Yeah. I wonder if you have the right to reject it, because he had He could give it to you.
Of course,
I don't know.
You know, you can't help but think like cameras are rolling, and I'm like, oh, the producers are probably gonna love this. Like no one's given up their immunity for the final 3 ever. I know Dominic was the one that questioned if he should do it or not, and he didn't. So of course the show wants this to happen, and that's why I was like, oh God, they're gonna yell at me if I say no, I'm not taking it. The truth is, really, the decision is Chris saying, I'm putting myself into the fire making challenge. It's not giving up the immunity necklace. So him giving up the immunity necklace does not give me the power to then pick who sits next to me. It's just saying that Chris is saying, I'm putting myself in the fire making challenge, so I don't have immunity.
Gotcha.
Really picking that. And then by default, he could have given the necklace to Gavin. It was the same thing whether he gave it to me or Gavin. He's just giving up immunity. He's not really giving it to me because I have no power with any of it. So it just made me look worse, I feel like. But
did you know that at the time that you weren't going to get any power when he gives it to you, that like you weren't going to be able to decide? Like,
in my mind, that's how, I mean, nobody told me that. Like nobody explained it that way, but that's how I just automatically assumed it. It was like, he's giving up his immunity and saying, I want to make fire. It's not like he's giving up the power of who goes to the final 3.
Gotcha. Yeah, so I was just curious about that.
A lot of people have questioned it online. I never questioned it in the game. I mean, I guess I could have. I could have been like, oh, wait a minute, Chris. Since I am wearing this necklace now, like, Jeff, does that mean I get to decide who makes fire? But of course I would have picked. I thought I was going to be able to beat Chris at that point. You know, I was hoping I had a shot against Chris. So I would have put Chris against Rick, and it would have been the same end result. Even if I won that challenge, it's just that Chris wouldn't have been able to make that move. That would have been
really crazy. Had like you known like, oh, if Chris does this is going to put him over the top, and it's like, all right, Chris gives me the idol. Okay, I want to take Chris to final with me, and Gavin, you're going to go make fire against Rick.
Right.
That would have been awesome. Like,
yes, I know, but right, I knew Chris was the best at beating Rick at trying to knock out Rick at making fire. Chris was definitely the best shot.
Do you think that? I'm trying to think about this, but like, if it's not 2 comma and it's 2 Manu sitting in final 3, and this could be Lauren and Chris, Lauren and Rick, whatever, Rick and Chris, either way. But if it's 2 Manu and then like you or Gavin, is there any situation you think in which the jury like splits votes between the 2 Manu and the comma ends up winning it because of like any comma people, or was everybody just so high on Chris at that point? It's a huge hypothetical, but.
It's a huge hypothetical. I don't know everything that was going on in the Edge of Extinction, but from everything I've heard, and there's been arguments either way, like, was Chris deserving? Like, Chris played an amazing game the time that he was in the game. I do not deny that. He did a lot, and he was big in his moves. He got someone to give him his idol. Like, that's huge. And all of it was visible to the jury, right? But I also feel like the Edge of Extinction people had a mindset, to me, some of the podcasts that I've listened to, that like they wanted one of their own to win. It validated their whole experience of being on that island for 30 something days, for some of them, obviously. And I think it was a group mindset of, this is what we want. And I think me and Gavin would have had a hard time against anybody that came back from the Edge of Extinction. Because they were really, I got the sense they were rooting for each other. They bonded over there. They obviously were hearing things about my game or Gavin's game, and everybody has a skewed perspective, and they didn't get to see it for themselves. Because you don't have a jury usually that is pre-merge, right? And there was pre-merge people on that jury. And it just feels like, I think it was going to be nearly impossible to beat somebody. I didn't think that at the time. I didn't know it at the time, but looking back, I don't know who. I don't know. What was your question?
No, that's fair. That's totally fair. I always wonder with that.
Comma, like mix. I mean, look.
I was just wondering if there was any way that there's going to be like splitting if there's 2 mono, because I know there's 2 commas sitting there, but is there any situation in which it's 2 mono and they actually like get less votes, and like
if Rick was in the final 3, I think he would have gotten all the votes.
He would have gotten all the votes.
Nobody would have split. If it was, who was the Lauren? She was the last Manu to go. So if it was if it was Lauren and Chris, I think it would have been the same kind of vote.
Like 9-4 with Lauren kind of in like the Julie spot.
No.
Well, I'm saying like if it was Gavin who was there, if it was you who was there, it's like Lauren's probably still ending up with like.
I think Lauren would have ended up with like a few votes like Gavin did.
Okay,
Mhm.
gotcha.
Like she would have had Gavin, Kelly's, like that kind of thing. But no, I don't think Lauren could have beat Chris at that point.
Okay. Yeah, I was just wondering. I always just wonder with the ending because of the way it went down. It's like, it's such a weird ending, and you were there weird. With it right to the very end, Julie. Like it's so weird.
I know. And I don't, you know what, now that I think about you saying this, I don't even think it doesn't matter comma Manu. To me, it was Edge of Extinction, not Edge of Extinction.
I think you're right.
And that's more the votes than what tribe we started on.
We loved your final tribal. I don't know if you listened or read it. We were like, Julie crushed it.
Oh, I did. Thank you. I mean, I don't honestly remember it all now because I think I listened to it very soon after it was over and my head was all still in a blur. And obviously I knew what was going to happen in that tribal. Like, I mean, at the reunion when he read the votes, they don't tell us, obviously, but there's enough you can assume and hear that I knew I wasn't getting any votes. And it wasn't like a shock to me at that point. And my final tribal, like, I also went in like knowing, okay, like I'm going to have a really hard time right now. And I have to say the jury was very respectful and I was really concerned. I'm like, you've seen some brutal juries, right?
Yeah.
Like, the way they treat the final 3 contestants and they're super bitter. And this jury was not like that at all. And I was really grateful for that. That tribal went on for hours and hours, it felt like. And I feel like I did a really good job of defending myself. They didn't show all the good stuff that I said. They showed some of it, but they showed some bad stuff too, I feel like. And, they have to make it like that. And I wish more was shown of like all the stuff I said, because even after the game and after it was over, a lot of people came up to me and were like, you really impressed me. Like you did a really good job during that tribal. Like, and it was nice. It was nice like to at least like hear that at that point, even though I knew like what the result was probably going to be. So, and the one thing they didn't show, and I wish they did at Final Tribal, maybe an hour in, I don't know how into it we are. And you saw like it was me, Chris, and Gavin sitting on those stools. And I see everybody saw it because people kind of shifted like this thing run across from like behind our stools into like under the fire area pit thing. And it was like a rat. And I see a shadow and I'm like, what's that? Like, I just can't help it. Like, that's how I am. I'm like, what? And like, all of a sudden, it runs back and I literally was like, oh my God. And I think I jumped practically to Chris's lap and I stood there like this and they're all looking at me and I'm thinking, oh my God, like I literally just slept in the dirt for 39 days where things were probably crawling over me every night, but still seeing it right there on this floor freaked the shit out of me. Like I couldn't handle it. And they didn't show it. I thought it would have been funny, but
I was hoping that a chicken was going to walk by. I thought that this was
would be the best.
That would have been the best.
I'm shocked they didn't plant that. Like come here, chicken, and like flip it over. Like even a random chicken, probably some other chicken. Like they should have had that walk right past. I thought the chickens would be in the season way longer than they were. I know they got a lot of airtime in the beginning, which felt like excessive, but they were there till day 39. And there was even one time when Gavin and I were walking towards the very end, walking down the trail, and we hear the chickens in the bushes clucking, and he was like, okay, like let's throw coconuts in the bushes. They'll get scared, they'll fly out, and then I'll like slam one like with a coconut, like and we'll try and like
violence.
I know. And as we're doing it, and I'm gathering the coconuts and I'm starting to like throw them in the bushes, and then like one gets scared, flies out, and he slams like this ball at it. But it squawked, but I think he scared it. I don't think he hit it. He either hit it, but it still flew away, or he scared it, and you heard this like, Rah! And I was like, oh my God, Gavin, we are so not getting Sia's money right now. So that was like my first thought. I was like, oh, this is
actually
terrible.
Asking you for money.
Right. I mean, it was terrible. But it's just like, we were starving even at that point. You still just want to eat. Like I couldn't help it. Like, and I love animals, like, but
you're hungry.
Wow.
But you're
I just have a really morbid view of Gavin just brutalizing a chicken. Like,
we didn't get it.
My
That chicken is still roaming the islands of Fiji, so we didn't get it. But.
For season 39, it's for them.
Right.
Yeah.
That would be really funny. Yeah. If you
Oh my gosh, that'd be great.
Right. The first shot they're going to show is Boston Rob just like leaning back by the fire, like gnawing on like a cooked egg.
Yeah, he and Sandra just like claps two hands.
Yeah. Chicken's done. Yep.
I even if that's not the first shot, CBS has 4 months to make that the first shot. Let's go.
Right.
Like,
Exactly. They can make that work for sure.
let's go. Were you ever worried about going to Edge of Extinction? Were you like, were you ever worried you're going to get voted out, but were you ever worried about Edge of Extinction itself?
No, like I was kind of, once we found out the twist, like at the merge, when we find out that's the twist, and I really was not expecting it. I should have been. I mean, I think you could kind of assume maybe what that name of the season could mean. I just thought Edge of Extinction meant like, oh, like 4 returning players. They're on the edge of extinction because they've been trying to win, but they can't. Like, this is their last shot. I never dawned on me these people that were voting out are still in the game. When I found out it existed, I'm not happy that people can get back into the game, but then it does give you this comfort, like, all right, well, if I do get voted out, it's not over. Like, there is that shot. I would have gone there. Of course I would have gone there, and I never would have quit there. Just, like, there's no way I waited all that time to play this game and not have done everything I could to, win, get to the end, whatever. So I know I said in the confessional, like, that's a scary place that I don't want to go to, but because it did sound really shitty. Yeah. I didn't want to go there, but that was not one of the things I was afraid of in my mind at any point in the game. And maybe because I did feel somewhat secure most points in the game that I wasn't getting voted out. The target was on too many other people, not on me. Yeah,
that's fair. So that's the whole game. Do you have other stories? Anything we missed? Anything we glossed over?
I have lots of notes. So let me just take a little look. Nope, that was the tribal council where
there was Aurora had mentioned coconuts, something about coconuts. You being great with coconuts.
Wow, she's being funny there. I was terrible at chopping coconuts. Like, I would be like chopping, and like the coconut would go flying 20 feet because I would like hit it the wrong way. And then finally I'd open it. I'd say if it took somebody 3 minutes to open a coconut, it might take me 30, like something like I didn't have the strength with the machete. I didn't have the right angle. So I was determined to open my own coconuts. And even at one point when Rick and I were still in the game towards the end, we're the only ones by the shelter, and we're searching for idols all day, but I'm taking a break and I'm trying to open a coconut. 30 minutes, I think. I mean, I don't have a watch, but 30 minutes, say. And he would be like, do you want me to help you with that? I'm like, no, I am determined. And I would finally get the thing open, and it was just like rotten. Like, oh my God, I got to start again. And then I would start again. So, but everybody was very helpful. Joe, Aurora, David in particular. I think I have a photo of David and I where he's like trying to show me where exactly to hit it. Like that was the coconut thing. And I was surprised they never showed it because it was an ongoing theme for me the entire season.
We see you chopping bamboo like on day 1 or 2 or something. That's really all we got.
Similar to that, but it lasted all season with the coconuts.
I wanted much of Julie chopping things with a machete.
Yes. I wish they had shown that. All right, so Julia, no, that tribal I talked about, the jumping ship, the final tribal. Right, I think I played my game out of fear. Right, that was my downfall. No. All right. I think that's it.
Alexa, were there any other questions that we had that needed to be addressed, or are we good?
Let me check on Instagram real quick. I feel like we're missing something.
Okay.
I feel like we are, but I don't know.
2. Hold on. The fire coral.
The fire coral's insane.
That is crazy. Especially that he was like, no, you're good. Like, it's
2 weeks before that thing got popped out. It was not comfortable.
How deep in your leg was it? Like, you couldn't see it, obviously.
No, but it was a hard lump, and he kept saying, I think it's inflammation. Like, it's just inflamed. And I'm like, it's pretty hard. Like, get your finger in there. It's pretty hard. Like, it was deep. It was deep. It obviously cracked off as I fell into there were other pieces. Oh, wait, no, like that wasn't the only one. There were other pieces the first week that he kept plucking out. That one was embedded deep, and that's what he couldn't see. So, yeah.
That is horrifying.
I've got notes down here. I feel like
I've got notes everywhere.
I feel like Julie's entire room is just papers everywhere.
Just papers everywhere.
Well, if anybody knows me, everything is a list. Everything. I love spreadsheets. Like, everything is. I make lists of the lists I have to make. Like, and that's for real. Like, I really do that. And I know it drove. I don't know if War Dog he didn't talk about this. It drove him bananas. Like, I heard in the game. there was a time period when we were trying to keep track of the days. Like, you know what day it is. Okay, it's day 30, it's day 31. But I was trying to keep track of what the days were at home. Like, okay, it's June 18th because it's day 30, but it's June 17th because they're behind us back in New York. So what are my kids doing right now at this moment? Because I knew what was happening throughout the 7 weeks that I was gone. And that was the way I could keep control, being a control freak of like, being away from them with no contact was, if I can imagine what they're doing on this day while I'm here, that makes me feel better. But I think I talked about it too much. So every morning I'd be like, okay, it's day 32. So it's June 18th now. And that means it's 17th. And like, it was a daily thing. And like, I think it drove him nuts, basically.
Good. I'm glad you drove War Dog.
That was my big move. It was my big move. Wear War Dog down with my obsession.
You did it.
Day.
I think that's adorable that you did that. I think that's a good like connection now.
The funniest was because I was like the day tracker. And the funniest thing was, I think maybe it was day 35. I don't know what day it was. It was around day 35, day 36. Say it was day 36. And we wake up the next morning and it's day 36 and we're sitting around the fire and you're all waking up. And I'm like, well, guys, we did it. We're all here on day 35. Like we made it to day 30, and they're like, it's day 36. I'm like, what? I forgot another day. Like I really, at that point, I had lost complete track of what was happening in the game. And I was just like, oh my God, I can't believe I didn't even know it was day 36 already.
Got to go put the notch in the tree. That had to be.
Yes, you saw that. I was like, yeah, yeah, I know. People are like, why are you doing that? It's bad for the tree. So now I feel bad. But.
Well, you almost murdered a chicken against that tree. So in the green scheme,
right. Exactly.
Well, if that's all we got, I mean, Julie, you're still going to end up with the third longest podcast in history, so that's not bad.
Oh, then let's stretch it out with what do we?
Let's find something here.
I really don't have anything else to show you. I have lots of wooden toys. I don't have a lot of them made right now because they're all custom made usually. So I paint them to order, and I don't have a lot of the stuff pre-made. So I don't have a lot to show you, but I will perfect Phil and Alexa. Because I'm really not loving Alexa at all. So
what's wrong with Phil?
No, Phil's okay. But, I was going to put glasses on you, but you don't wear them anymore on the podcast, but you wear them in a lot of your photos.
I wear them in real life all the time, but for the podcast, I only have to see this far. So.
Right. Okay. So maybe I'll put glasses on you. We'll see. I tried to put you. Well, we'll think about it, and then
we'll talk about it. The nun and the blind guy. That's us.
What?
The nun, I'm the nun and Phil's blind.
Right. The nun, yeah. The nun. You do wear a lot of blue and black, Alexa.
I do. I'm a New Yorker. I have to wear black every day.
Oh my God. The minute they told me I was on the tribe where I had to find something yellow, I was like, no.
What is yellow?
There's no yellow in New York, so you're going to have to come up.
I don't know where to purchase that.
Yeah, I did. I looked everywhere. I'm like, I can't find yellow. So that's why I ended up with a rust-colored coral thing. We get away with it. Other people were in green. I'm like, this doesn't have to be yellow.
Yeah, that's a stretch.
Well, Alexa, I guess take us home.
I guess I'm going to take us home. Well, I know this is a sad one. So we have more people from the Edge of Extinction slated to come on. We are still in the process of scheduling a handful of them. We have one confirmed. Phil, should we promo the one?
It's just so far away.
Why?
Because he's a busy man. It's 9 days.
He's an important guy.
9 days.
I think we should. I think we should.
I think we should do it. No, you don't want to do it?
I don't know. Do you think he's going to bail on us, Julie?
Well, if we announce it, we can't.
How do I even know who it is? But I'm assuming I know who it is.
Busy guy, June 20th. Really handsome husband.
I was going to say Ron.
It's Ron.
Mr. Ron Clark is confirmed for next Thursday. So actually a week from Thursday, June 20th at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. We are super excited to talk to Ron. We have, as we mentioned, there's still a few more people who we're just working out scheduling, so we don't want to assume any times until they're confirmed. So
there might be one before Ron.
There might be one before.
You a tidbit about Ron to build, the excitement.
Let's hear it.
This weekend, I might be seeing Ron because Ron is a huge fan of Pokemon Go. I don't know if anybody knows this.
That is news to me.
My son is also a big fan with his friend, and there's a big Pokemon Go event in Chicago this weekend where you had to get into a lottery to get tickets, and it's only on a certain day in this public park, and it's an annual event. And my friend and I are taking my son and her daughter, who are really into Pokemon, to Chicago, and Ron is going to be there at the event. So
will Ron be competing against your son?
I don't think it's a competition thing. I think everyone's like, oh, but raids and things, maybe. I don't know how Pokemon Go really works, but I hope
we'll have to ask Ron.
We will have to ask Ron ourselves.
Yes.
So for June 20th, it will not be a Survivor recap. It'll be a Pokemon Go recap with Ron Clark.
Yeah. I think
I'm kind of okay with that.
Your fan base, who knows? You said you have a lot of teenagers, right?
Yeah.
But we're always open to expanding.
Mm-hmm.
Who
would have thought we'd be the Pokemon Go special?
Branch out and do a whole Pokemon podcast, more than just Survivor. I think there's a whole market for that.
Phil, I don't know about you. I had Pokemon Go for a couple weeks.
I never had it.
Yeah. It's when you're walking around in the city, like I bump into people and
I know. I was into it when my kids first got into it, and I would like take their phone, and during the day, like while they're at school, and I was like running errands. I'd be like, "Oh, I got something," and then they didn't like that I was like catching things for them. I'm like, "Okay, fine."
You're ruining the experience.
I was. I am. I love to ruin everything. All fun. I just put the kibosh on all fun for them.
Oh my gosh. So this Saturday or this weekend, tune in to Chicago. There's a big Pokemon Go event going on. I have to brush up on my knowledge.
I don't know the terminology. I'm going, and I'm going for 1 day. We're going to Chicago for 1 day. It was like kind of a birthday present, reward, end of the school year for working so hard. Going to Chicago. So I hope to see Ron. Maybe we'll post a little video.
There you go. We can get rid of these.
Get rid of these
war dog hype videos.
We're sick of them.
Oh, right.
Do you think that you and Ron could find a gym in Chicago where you guys could sway back and forth and announce when the podcast is going to be?
Yeah. I think maybe we could, but no, we're going to be in the park. Like we are dedicated. I'm not, but my son dedicated to that Pokemon Community Day thing, whatever it's called. So we're going to be in the park. So maybe Ron and I can be doing push-ups in the park.
That would be good. We would love to see that. The people are like
some kind of parkour workout, and then like
parkour is very
podcast.
Yeah.
I'm into that.
This is going to be great. So stay tuned for that, people. We're very excited. As Phil mentioned, we are just working out a couple schedulings for a few more people, but we definitely will have Ron on next Thursday, June 20th at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. In the meantime, become a patron of the Survivor Specialist. We've had a lot of new viewers, a lot of new people have joined our community, and we would love for you guys to keep growing. We have 4 different tiers of patronage. Anything you guys are interested in, Q&As, retrospectives. We're trying out a couple of things. You want to just join a Facebook group and chit chat with us. Power ranking themes. We have whatever you guys are looking for. So go to patreon.com/Survivor Specialist to become a patron. In the meantime, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and hit subscribe on YouTube. We are over 5,400 subscribers, which is higher. Like we've gained like 100 subscribers in the past few days, which is insane. We are so excited about this. We are going to be in touch. We're going to be putting out a few more off-season podcasts that we think you guys will really enjoy. And do not forget to go to henryandren.com to support Julie's business. No matter how you feel about wooden toys, Phil and I have our own personal ones. She custom makes these, but some of the money goes to charity. This is all really great stuff. Support Julie, support us, and thank you for listening, Julie. We've loved having you on. We've been a huge fan of you all season. Really happy to have talked to you.
Oh, thank you for having me. Loved doing it.
Thanks, Julie.